To infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
Live from the Palatial yet not overly ostentatious studios of the Infinity Sports Network here in beautiful New York City, sitting on top of the 10th floor, 345 Hudson Street. Welcome on in to what is a very busy Wednesday edition of the Zach Gelb Show across all the great local Infinity Sports Network affiliates, Sirius XM, Channel 375, the free Odyssey app, and of course, streaming live on YouTube. 855-212-4227 is the number to jump on in. That is 855-212-4227. You could always get at me on Instagram, where I'm straight flexing, or via the good old cesspool of Twitter, at Zach Gelb. That's ZACHGELB. With the new league year starting up next week, and you have the legal tampering period starting on Monday, which is always one of my favorite terms in the history of not only the NFL, but also in sports, you've had two contractual issues taken care of. One, I didn't really think was on the horizon. It wasn't really in my thinking. The other, it was. And later on, we were going to do a players prediction segment on upcoming, pending free agents and where they're going to land. And when it was Zach Bond, I said to myself, I think he's going to re-sign with the Philadelphia Eagles. Well, about, 20 minutes ago, Adam Schefter, breaking. Eagles are re-signing all-pro linebacker Zach Bond to a 3-year, $51 million contract, including $34 million guaranteed at signing, and an additional $1.5 million in incentives and escalators per sources. The contract instantly makes Bond one of the highest-paid linebackers in the NFL. His story, his rise, is unbelievable. If we're just being honest, who the heck knew of Zach Bond before the start of this NFL season? Not many, in the national landscape. And he was in the NFL from 2020 to 2023 with the New Orleans Saints. And look at the opportunity that not only did he get in Philadelphia, but the way that he took that baton and he did run with it to not only becoming a Pro Bowler for the first time in his career, also becoming a first-time All-Team Pro, a Defensive Player of the Year finalist, and making, I thought, the biggest play in the Super Bowl, because at the time it's 17-0, Mahomes gets the ball back, and there's about 2 minutes left before the end of the first half. If the Chiefs go score, they get the ball coming out of half, and Zach Bond made a diving interception, and then a few plays later, it was A.J. Brown getting into the end zone, and that was night-night for the Kansas City Chiefs, so that ended up being 24-0 in that game. So congratulations to Zach Bond. And I thought a lot of people believed that deal was going to get done. Now, if you're an Eagles fan, you're like, how many of your guys can you also keep? Bond was always the one that I thought they were going to be able to keep. I do believe Milton Williams, who had a very good year this year, and also Josh Sweat, they'll probably be going elsewhere. Josh Sweat, I definitely think will be gone. Milton Williams, I guess there's a chance that he could return, but if you put a gun to my head, I would say that he's going to be gone as well. So we start the show with the world champion Philadelphia Eagles and their contract news that Howie Roseman gets the deal done with Zach Bond. Now, this is the first of what I think will be many moves at the pass rusher position. And I like Max Crosby a lot. I think Max Crosby is not only one of the best defensive players in the NFL, but one of the best players, period, in the NFL. The Raiders are signing Pro Bowl defensive end Max Crosby, according to Adam Schefter, to a 3-year, $106.5 million contract extension that includes $91.5 guaranteed, making him the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history per sources. For the third time in 4 years, the Raiders are addressing the contract of their cornerstone player, this time cementing his relationship with the Raiders for the foreseeable future. The deal was negotiated by C.J. LeBoy and Doug Hendrickson of Wasserman Sports. Now, let me react to this Max Crosby thing. Number one, I don't think this will be most people's reaction because I think most people will just talk about the deal and is Max Crosby making the right decision in elongating his career with the Las Vegas Raiders, and basically for the rest of the prime of his career, not giving him, I know you could always force a trade, but making that commitment to the Raiders when he had a few years left on his contract and just doubling down on it. I think that's what a lot of people will talk about, and I'll give you my opinion on it in a second. But I think where you need to start with Max Crosby is really his story. And you know what? I know that it doesn't always make for the best radio, but a lot of times in sports, we just view the athlete as a robot. And we view the athlete as someone that performs for us, right? And we're entertained by them. And we think we know them, but we don't really know them. Max Crosby, the person, to see him get rewarded with this, I think it's a great story for many people in the world. Because years ago, Max Crosby was in a very dark place, right? And this is someone now that is not only sober, but this is someone that has battled those demons. And this is someone that was able to fight through adversity and not only come out on top, but come out in a profession that is so difficult when you face adversity and not only, right, get back to play and kind of hide behind the issues and your talent doesn't make you really address the issues. But Max Crosby put in the work off the field to improve his life and his personal life. And then his professional life, if you look at it now, he's a top 10, top 15 player in the NFL. He's one of the best defensive players in the NFL and one of the best players, period, in the NFL. So on a day like this, I think it's important to talk about the Max Crosby story. Because his story, right, I say this before, a lot of times athletes are viewed as role models, and sometimes maybe, right, certain athletes shouldn't be role models, or the intentions why the athlete is your kid's role model. Is that a good message? Like, is that something good? You know, I always think, right, parents should really teach those lessons and things like that. But sports, there's such a strong connection, right? Especially with kids, with professional athletes, there's such a strong connection. And I think the story of Max Crosby, from where he was to where he is now, is a beautiful story that a lot of people, and it doesn't only have to be kids, right? We know addiction and how horrible of a problem it's been in this country, how a lot of us can learn from the Max Crosby story. So salute to Max Crosby, and now I'll give you the football take of Max Crosby. And you know what? It may seem like a little bit of a quick and a harsh transition, and I always respected Max Crosby's love for the Raiders, right? We have had him on this show before where he's talking about his love for the Raiders, and he always wants to be a Raider, and they believed in him when no one else did, and maybe that's a part of the story. And, right, who am I to question Max Crosby's decision? But it's almost unfortunate in a way that Max Crosby's continuing with the Raiders. And the reason I say that is Max Crosby is at the height of his profession. No one debates, hey, is Max Crosby a great player? You would be, if I did a talk segment, is Max Crosby a great player? People should call me up and they should say you either don't know ball, you don't watch ball, or you're an idiot, moron, and a dope, or all the above, right? And you could call me any name in the book, because that's how great of a player Max Crosby is. And it's just unfortunate for me when you have a great player, but the team around him isn't anywhere close to being on par with his greatness. And for Max Crosby, I look at the Raiders, and he's looking up with the standard of the NFL, with Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes in that division. You got Jim Harbaugh with Justin Herbert. They still got work to do, but they were just in the playoffs. In his first year in the NFL, Bo Nix went to the postseason with Sean Payton now as the head coach. And don't get me wrong, yes, you got Tom Brady running the organization. John Spytek is highly thought of as a general manager. You have the legendary Pete Carroll now as the head coach. So the leadership team is vastly improved with the Raiders. But who's playing quarterback this year for the Raiders? We don't know right now. Outside of Brock Bowers, who are the names on the offensive side of the ball that you really feel are untouchable with the silver and black? And yes, on the defensive side of the ball, Christian Wilkins has to get healthy. You got Max Crosby. You got Spillane. Like, you got some pieces there, and Crosby's a stud. But is that team anywhere close to going to the playoffs? Is that team anywhere close to winning a playoff game or contending for even a spot in the AFC Championship game? No, and guess what? No. And I see someone like Max Crosby who deserves the bag, right? He could do whatever he wants, but I do sit back and I go, man, maybe you should have gone elsewhere. Maybe you should do what Myles Garrett is doing right now, where he realized I've done everything I can for Cleveland and Cleveland can't get up to my level. Or Cleveland can't even get in the same zip code as me or in the same ballpark as me. So I'm going to request a trade. And Myles Garrett, even though the Browns right now are saying, oh, we're not going to trade you. By the start of the season, Myles Garrett will probably wind up in either Philadelphia, Buffalo, Detroit, Kansas City, right? The Washington Commanders, and have new life and also a new quest and a new search to actually go try and win. So, yes, it's nice that Max Crosby loves the Raiders. It's almost like that scene from Fever Pitch with Jimmy Fallon. You love the Red Sox so much, but have they ever done anything to show you your love back? Do they ever love you back? And that's what I would say to the Raiders. Like, you love the Raiders. The fans love you. But does the organization, outside of just paying you a ridiculous amount of money, do they ever do anything tangibly on the field to show you that love back? And the answer is no. So I would have liked to have seen Max Crosby go elsewhere. I would have liked to see Max Crosby go back home, link up with the Lions, or go to Philadelphia and try to go repeat, or go to the Commanders with the young stud at the offensive side of the ball and Jaden Daniels. He's the face of the franchise. You then go be the face of the defense. Right? Like, the Chiefs wouldn't have been able to pull it off because the Raiders would never trade him in division. But you go through these teams, there's enough teams out there. Imagine Max Crosby in Buffalo. He could be the missing piece. Josh Allen and Max Crosby. They could beat Kansas City then. But, hey, Max Crosby, for whatever the reasons are, he loves the silver and black, and he's staying there. But Schefter brought up a great point. This could be the offseason of the pass rusher. Because Max Crosby's extension is the first of what should be a busy offseason for a group of pass rushers in line for new deals. And Schefter points out those pass rushers include Trey Hendrickson, Myles Garrett, TJ Watt, Micah Parsons, and Aiden Hutchinson. If we go through those lists, and we go through that list and those players, Hutchinson, he's not going anywhere. Micah Parsons, I don't think he's going anywhere. Right? Hutch will find a way, whether it's this year or next year, to get a deal done with the Detroit Lions. Micah Parsons, probably this offseason, is going to get a deal done with the Dallas Cowboys. But you look at the other three names, and Crosby just got his deal today, in TJ Watt, Myles Garrett, and Trey Hendrickson. Myles Garrett wants out. We've already discussed this. We've had him on the show. Inevitably, Myles Garrett will get what he wants. But for Trey Hendrickson and TJ Watt, too, what are those guys going to do? And I think Trey Hendrickson still has a chance, even though they just missed the playoffs this past year. But what they did a few years ago, beating Kansas City, right? And then the following year, just losing to Kansas City in the AFC Championship game. You look at the trio in Cincinnati. Jamar Chase just won the Triple Crown. Joe Burrow just led the league in passing yards and passing touchdowns. And Trey Hendrickson just led the league in sacks. Back-to-back years, I think it was 17 and a half sacks. Trey Hendrickson is trying to get a deal done with the Bengals. And you can at least talk yourself into the Bengals still being a winning destination and a team that could still win a Super Bowl because they have the quarterback. And right, T. Higgins just got the tag slapped on him. They got to make some improvements on the rest of that team, especially other players around Trey Hendrickson on defense. But there's a reason for Trey Hendrickson to try to get like a 3-year contract done this offseason with the Bengals. This is going to be an unpopular opinion. Steelers fans are not going to like when I say this, but I'm saying it anyway. TJ Watt should force his way out of Pittsburgh. Now, let me be abundantly clear. I do not think TJ Watt has it in him to say, Pittsburgh, I want out. I want to get traded. He's already said before he wants to get a deal done with the Steelers. But TJ Watt, you are a great player. TJ Watt, you are either the best or the second best player in the NFL on the defensive side of the ball. And the Steelers, for most of your career, have had nothing. Post Big Ben, they have had nothing at the quarterback position. Whether it was Russell Wilson, whether it was Justin Fields, Duck Hodges, quack, quack, Mason Rudolph, Kenny Pickett, they have given you nothing on the offensive side of the ball. And I get it, the defense didn't perform up to their abilities this year. But TJ Watt is a great player. The Steelers haven't won a playoff game since the 2016 season, and TJ Watt deserves a legitimate chance to go contend for a Super Bowl. I ultimately think TJ Watt and the Steelers will get a deal done. TJ Watt right now is the face of the Steelers. TJ Watt, by far and away, is the Steelers' best player. But if TJ Watt wants to go win a Super Bowl, I get it. The brand of the Steelers is awesome. The Steelers are still viewed as a great organization. But that has been a team that is always in the postseason. They show up wild card weekend, and then they go home. They haven't won a playoff game since 2016. So you could talk yourself into that being a winning destination, but they're nowhere close to being a Super Bowl champion again. And if I'm TJ Watt, I would say, Pittsburgh, I love you. Pittsburgh, I appreciate you, but I want to go chase a Lombardi. And the last few years, the Steelers haven't been about chasing that Lombardi trophy. So let me make it abundantly clear if you can't tell once again. I don't think it will happen, but if I'm TJ Watt, if I'm advising TJ Watt, I would say go request a trade. All right, this is Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. You know what? I can't believe I'm going to praise the Bears after what they did to us last year, right? Everyone took the Bears bait, including yours truly. I thought they were going to be a playoff team. And then I forgot that Matt Eberflus was their coach. Matt Eberflus, who should have never been brought back as the head coach. But the Bears have made some moves even before the new league year starts that starts to lower the bait once again and make you say, I'm kind of liking what the Bears are doing. So we'll talk about the Chicago Bears and their latest moves that they made over the last 2 days when we come on back. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. If you want to talk a little bit about DK Metcalf, we will get to that as well on the other side. He's officially requested a trade. Where are some destinations for DK Metcalf? But Zach Bond paid, Max Crosby paid, and when you look at the pass rushers, Trey Hendrickson, Myles Garrett, TJ Watt, Micah Parsons, Aiden Hutchinson, all of them are looking for new deals. Once again, Hendrickson and the Bengals, they should be able to get something done. May not be easy, but they should be able to get something done. Myles Garrett wants out. I think TJ Watt is back in Pittsburgh, but he should force a trade. And I do ultimately believe that Micah Parsons, Aiden Hutchinson will find a way to get a deal done. But if you want to talk about any of those pass rushers, we got open phone lines for you as well. 855-212-4227, 855-212-4227. We're coming on back. We're talking Bears and we're talking DK Metcalf next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Zach Gelb Show.
I'm laughing for a specific reason. I just saw a tweet from a current wide receiver in the NFL. And he has chimed in today on the DK Metcalf trade request. As DK Metcalf has requested a trade according to Jordan Schultz, who almost got into a fight at a Starbucks with Ian Rappaport, which almost led to some serious haymakers going down at the Combine. Jordan Schultz reported today that DK Metcalf has requested a trade from the Seattle Seahawks. Now, this tweet has been up for an hour. It was up at 2:15. That's when I started to do my local hit on 560 WQAM with Channing Crowder and Mark Hochman. And for some reason, I'm just seeing it now. So about an hour ago, a little over an hour ago, this wide receiver commented on the trade news today of DK Metcalf wanting to get traded from the Seattle Seahawks. Samter, can you take a guess why I am chuckling and who is the player that is a current NFL wide receiver that is commenting on this trade, and he has no association, by the way. That's your hint. And it's a very vague hint. It eliminates one team with the Seattle Seahawks. Who do you think it could potentially be, and why I'm laughing, and why this could potentially get me to erupt like I'm a volcano?
Do you want to go T. Higgins?
It is not T. Higgins. Good guess, right? T. Higgins in the news. Franchise tag slapped on him for the second year in a row, and he's not a happy camper. Ryan Botcher, do you want to guess who the wide receiver is?
I'm going to guess Brandon Ayuk because he's always on Twitter.
It is not Brandon Ayuk. Now, this was someone who could be considered a disgruntled wide receiver, but then he walked it back. Any idea? Does that give it away?
It does give it away a little bit, and I think that he's coming off a pretty good month, is my guess, Mr. A.J. Brown.
It is not A.J. Brown. right ballpark in terms of it's a top wide receiver in the NFL. This guy did not have a good year this year. He's always in the news. You were probably in a 2-foot proximity of this man at the Super Bowl, Samter.
And we would have seen close to eye to eye, maybe.
He is a smaller man, yes.
Maybe it would have been eye to nose, eye to chin or something.
He's a little bit taller than you.
But not by much.
Now, you guys may have the same 40 time. That could be the same case.
Oh, well, then I'm not thinking of the same guy if it's the same 40 time.
No, it is. I was
okay,
being
I'm going with the fastest man in the NFL, Mr. Tyreek Hill.
It is Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill comments in a very vague way. Remember, this is the same jackwagon. I guess that's the nicest word that I could call it. Where when the season ended, he does this whole media availability, how he's done with the Dolphins, he wants out, right? It's ridiculous. They're wasting his time. They're wasting his talent, blah, 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 blah. And then he shows up at the Super Bowl with the Mea Culpa tour. He goes on McAfee. He goes on Kay Adams. He goes on Pro Football Talk. He went on all the big national shows, right? Yeah, the cheetah, Tyreek Hill. He was doing a tour, basically saying, I was wrong. They were right. I was frustrated. It came from a good place. But I love Chris Greer. I love Mike McDaniel. Bleep. That's also what it is. Because the simple tweet by Tyreek Hill shows you he's once again immature and he has learned nothing. If I requested a trade and then basically showed up at the Super Bowl with my tail in between my legs and was like, oh, I was wrong. Oh, please, everyone forgive me. I want to stay in Miami. I would shut my mouth on the day that DK Metcalf is requesting a trade, and I wouldn't comment on it, especially in a very ambiguous fashion. So the tweet by Tyreek Hill is this: everyone trying to get out. And it's an emoji with the mind-blown emoji. And that's basically Tyreek Hill. This is how I interpret it. This is him saying, oh, when I did it, I was a bad guy. Oh, when I did it, I was immature. When I did it, oh, everyone got on me and everyone, right, ripped me to shreds. And now, look, there's a lot of players that are trying to get off the current team. And it's always the I'm the victim card with Tyreek Hill, when the biggest problem for Tyreek Hill is Tyreek Hill himself. He's his biggest problem. So Tyreek Hill, after going on that pathetic, lame, fugazi, apology, mea culpa media tour at the Super Bowl, we can't even get to OTAs. We can't even get to training camp. We can't even get to preseason game number 1. And he's just throwing out there, everyone trying to get out. You didn't need to comment on it. Now, Samter, does that annoy you? Because for some reason, I'm a big accountability guy. Tyreek Hill never takes any accountability. And he was frustrated. I think he meant those things that he said, and it kind of blew up in his face. And then he walked away, or he came back and he walked everything back. And he basically went on this boo-hoo apology tour. And now it's like, oh, everyone's trying to get out. Mind blown. Because that at least gives me the impression of, and maybe I'm just reading too much into this, but it gives me the impression of, maybe it's back on the table that I could try to force my way out of Miami, which, by the way, you should have never been in Miami because you should have just stayed in Kansas City, and you're the one that forced your way to Miami. So now kind of, you made your bed, now lie in it. That's what I would say to Tyreek Hill if you're so upset.
Yeah, I mean, it is annoying because he went on the apology tour, but I mean, as long as he's not talking bad about his team, whatever. He's just trying to make Tyreek. I've learned this, maybe T.O. kind of desensitized us to it, but I've kind of learned just to kind of, when it comes to wide receivers, especially some of these diva wide receivers, just white noise. Just take it as they go. They change their mind every form. We just named 15 different wide receivers who could have been disgruntled and just happened to be this one. So I kind of take wide receivers as white noise.
Sometimes I think wide receivers get painted in an unfair light. Like, there is that stigma that wide receivers are divas and wide receivers only care about themselves. I think the majority of the wide receivers actually present themselves well. But it's for that position in particular when you have A.J. Brown, I know he ended up winning a Super Bowl, reading a book during a playoff game, it's like an oh, look at me moment. You know, there has been other instances as well, but Tyreek Hill, like not everyone could be Justin Jefferson. Look at Justin Jefferson. It's been a rotating door at the quarterback position. That guy conducts himself in the right way. And you could want out. But once you let the toothpaste out of the tube, don't do the whole walk me back, and now you're trying to walk back in the other direction that you just walked everything back from. It makes no sense. This is Tyreek Hill is a ticking time bomb. And I can guarantee you this. I can make a prediction, and let me tell you, most of the predictions I make are wrong. But there will be a moment this year in Miami. Lock it up, seal, sign, deliver it. It's a Charles Barkley guarantee. I can guarantee you there will be a moment this year that Tyreek Hill acts like a petulant human being. He has a blow up, a dust up on the sideline, and he talks about how much the Dolphins aren't on his level and he wants out of Miami. Because what Tyreek Hill said after the game, people go, oh, it's in the heat of the moment. Oh, it's right after competition. Oh, it's this. Oh, it's that. What he said, there has to be some truth to it. And once you walk it back, you then, in the first moment to comment on another wide receiver's problem, and you're allowed to request a trade. Like, I don't think, like, put it this way. George Pickens is a diva, right? Like, that's another wide receiver who's a diva in George Pickens. Is DK Metcalf being a diva here? I don't think so. I think this is just a player that's on the final year of his contract, wants to be paid a certain price. The Seahawks probably don't want to give him this crazy long-term deal, and he's in the final year of his deal, so he requests a trade. Like Myles Garrett when he joined us on Super Bowl. There's ways to request a trade. I thought Myles Garrett did that in the perfect way. But when you look at someone like Tyreek Hill, who basically requests a trade, says he doesn't want to be there, walks it back, and now is throwing himself in this DK Metcalf situation, it doesn't make any sense to me. Now, here's what I'll say about DK Metcalf. There are a few teams that come to mind. I think the Green Bay Packers should absolutely positively be on the phone and be knocking down the door of John Schneider right now. And if you don't pick up, get on a plane, go to Seattle, and try to go get a deal done for DK Metcalf. You tried the solid wide receiver by committee this year. It didn't work. You need a no doubt about it number one guy. And even though DK Metcalf isn't a top 5 wide receiver in the NFL, you know, he may not even be a top 10 wide receiver in the NFL. This dude is a very good wide receiver. And you look around the league, A.J. Brown was viewed as a good wide receiver. Stephon Diggs was viewed as a good wide receiver when Stephon Diggs was leaving Minnesota. When you had also, you look around the league and you see these guys that get their guys. They have been, A.J. Brown was viewed as a good wide receiver. Goes to Philadelphia, links up with Jalen Hurts, they become great. Stephon Diggs links up with Josh Allen, become great. It's a two-way street. The wide receiver benefits from it, and the quarterback benefits from it. So Jordan Love has had a good year and a half. He needs a number one guy. And DK Metcalf and Jordan Love could benefit each other. And that's, to me, a deal that should get done. But if not the Packers, I think the Patriots should be all in here. I do. And I know DK Metcalf said with Katie Nolan on her debut podcast, I think it was Katie Nolan, and he doesn't want to go play in New England. But you could say that. Now you're requesting a trade, so you don't want to play in Seattle. So, hey, if the Patriots go get him, go find a way to get that deal done. And I'll throw out one more team here. The Steelers the last few years have been rumored to try to go get another wide receiver, right? Brandon Ayuk, that was talked about a year ago. Didn't end up coming to fruition. If you could team up DK Metcalf with George Pickens, you know, as long as the Steelers actually get a quarterback who could throw the forward pass, then you maybe have something cooking with the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I'm fine with DK Metcalf requesting a trade, but I don't like Tyreek Hill commenting on it, especially with what's happened with him in the last few months. I'm going to give a lot of credit also, before we go to the break, to the Chicago Bears. The Chicago Bears, at the end of the season, I thought were in a mitigated disaster. And I said to myself, after what happened this year, there's zero reason to believe why I should give them the benefit of the doubt moving forward. And I said, I don't want to take the Chicago Bears bait again. I don't. And I still think Caleb Williams could be a good quarterback. I still think Rome Odunze could be a good wide receiver. I still like DJ Moore. But what they've done so far this offseason, and the new league year hasn't even officially started, I give them credit. They got arguably the hottest name on the market at the head coaching position in Ben Johnson. If Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams can't succeed, then maybe the Bears are just cursed. But it's one thing to bring in a coach, and then it's another thing to aggressively go change your roster. And they have done that already up front by today, basically giving up nothing for Joe Thuney. And they'll give him a new contract, I'm sure. And I know he's up there in age, but that's an elite offensive lineman in the NFL. And the day before, they also got Jonah Jackson, who was last with Ben Johnson. He made his only Pro Bowl, and then he went to the Rams, and it didn't work out. So I like them beefing up their offensive line, and I also like the head coach that they brought in. It's an aggressive, good first step. There has to be more to be done, but you look at it this year, it's not impossible. I'm not predicting it yet, but it's not impossible for the Chicago Bears to make that big jump this year and find themselves in the postseason. If they continue, though, to be aggressive this offseason, and they need to be. Because if Caleb Williams doesn't play well this year, that's then 2 years where it's very underwhelming, and then people start to throw around the word bust, and once you start to throw around the B word, that's not good. Dexter Henry is here. He is in for Rich Ackerman today. You know, last night, we were within 10 feet of each other, and you had no clue whatsoever.
Last night.
You know, you're so busy, you don't even know what you were doing last night.
I was at the Knicks game.
Yeah. So I was sitting right behind the Knicks bench, and I look over to my right in pregame as Steph Curry's warming up. And let me tell you, Dexter Henry throwing some elbows down underneath the basket to get the media positioning. I respected it.
Hey, you got to do what you got to do.
Bruce Beck, you're a legend. Get the heck out of the way.
No. See, Bruce is my guy. I would never do that to Bruce. In fact, Bruce is just so nice and gracious enough to me that he gave me space.
Oh, okay. So that's what it was.
So did you yell at me? Did you call out to me?
So you were recording things, so I didn't want to be like, yo, Dex, and then mess up your video.
You'd have been. You know what? I appreciate that from you. But
I didn't want to be a jerk, and then you walked right past me, but you were moving, man.
Yeah, I was moving. I was going back and forth.
Well, yeah, you had to get to your seat. You also had to do a lot of work. You had to upload whatever you were doing. Yeah. But you were so locked in.
I was locked in.
I was like, oh, I'll see my guy Dexter Henry. And I go, oh, wait, he's in with us tomorrow. But then you just left me hanging there. Left me hanging.
I'm sorry.
You big-timed me.
I'm sorry.
You walked right past me.
Were your seats right behind the bench? You have some good seats?
Row right behind the bench.
Hey,
I could have called to play last night.
Dang,
the Knicks could have used me for defense last night for crying out loud.
Well, that's a whole nother story. Yeah, you're right about that.
I left that game, and I walked into it with like new life for the Warriors, right? Very impressed with the Warriors. And I left that game with more negativity about the Knicks rather than praise for the Golden State Warriors.
I can understand that. I think the Warriors are playing really well. They look good with Jimmy. And Jimmy Butler did not have a great game last night by any means. By the way, yes.
Jimmy Butler is also like a babysitter on the court. Which I never would have thought that. Those interactions late in the games when the fans were chanting TNT to Draymond.
I saw that.
And Jimmy just looks at Draymond and is like, calm down. Calm down.
Jimmy Butler is telling Draymond Green
to
calm down.
I thought those two would just kill each other, honestly, in practice.
Maybe
but now I think they're very alike.
Yeah, maybe it's like a real recognized real kind of situation. Like they're like, we see each other. We get each other.
And then for the NBA. Where are you at with the Lakers and the Warriors? Because, right, when you have the old guard, teams that have won before, sometimes people get tired. I never thought either of these teams were going to be talked about as legit championship contenders. I find myself now saying, I'm pulling for Steph. I'm pulling for LeBron and Luka.
Someone asked me this last night, and I'm more of a buyer on the Warriors making a deeper run than the Lakers.
On the opposite.
I don't trust the Lakers' defense right now. I got to see more. They have played well, but the defense is still suspect. Now, here's the thing. They've got, to me, the higher ceiling.
Yes.
Because they have Luka Doncic. And I think Luka Doncic, as dumb as a trade as that was for the Mavs, he can mess around. We saw this a couple years ago where he took his team to the Western Conference Finals. Not last year when he got his team to the finals. But we've seen this before, Zach. And he can carry that team. And if LeBron is just playing a secondary role, which is great for him in his career right now, if they start playing any consistent defense,
I can't stand JJ Redick, but I would say I'd be very happy this year, even to see JJ Redick. It would make me
rooting for
sick.
JJ Redick.
It would make me sick if he won a championship. But I actually wouldn't mind seeing the Lakers win a championship. Here's why.
Yeah.
Because it would be the ultimate bleep you moment to Nico Harrison. And Nico Harrison may be my least favorite person in sports right now.
Honestly, if that happened, then I was going to ask you if you really think the Lakers could win a championship.
Some tweets. I got some bad tweets about JJ.
But if that happens, right, Does that like automatically mean Nico? I don't call for anybody's job. Does that mean Nico Harrison has to be fired?
I think that this is some sabotage. I don't believe in conspiracy theories, but this is what I do. I think they're just trying to create so much apathy that they're going to try to move the team. That's my only explanation for this.
See, I think the people who dismiss that are being a little short-sighted here. I lean into some of that.
See, you're a nice guy, Dex.
Yeah.
I have already put Nico Harrison's body in the casket and slammed it shut. To me, his NBA career as a general manager is over.
He's a smart guy. This guy's made good moves up to this point.
There's a lot of smart people that make really bad decisions because of ego. And that's what this is ego to me, what he did.
You're right. I can't argue that people have made bad decisions because of ego. You're right. Ego is sometimes the downfall.
Not everyone could be like Dexter, like myself, and just trying to get Dexter Henry's opinion. You're like the Nico Harrison of the media world. The way you big time me last night.
Well, no.
Walked right past me. I'm not talking to this lower level guy.
I don't want to be the Nico Harrison of anything right now, Zach.
Just teasing. All right, Ryan Hickey going to join us 20 minutes in studio from now. We'll do a news brief next. Update time first. Here is my guy, Dexter Henry.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
All right, Zach, this one is sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Your small business keeps you on the go. Progressive Commercial Insurance keeps your policy within reach with our easy-to-use mobile app. Learn more at progressivecommercial.com. We're going to kick this one off with NFL news. The Cowboys, they are making moves towards being active in free agency. According to reports, Dallas has restructured Dak Prescott's contract and created $36.6 million in cap space. The Cowboys converted $45.75 million of Prescott's base salary to a signing bonus, reducing his cap figure from $89.89 million to $53.29 million. The Philadelphia Eagles, they are re-signing All-Pro linebacker Zach Braun to a 3-year, $51 million contract. The deal includes $34 million guaranteed at signing and an additional $1.5 million in incentives, making Braun one of the highest paid linebackers in the NFL. According to ESPN's Adam Schefter, Seahawks star wide receiver DK Metcalf has requested a trade. Reportedly, the request came Wednesday after a series of conversations over the past 2 weeks. Staying with the Seahawks, Tyler Lockett's decade-long run in the Emerald City is over. The Seahawks are releasing the veteran wideout. Lockett's 2025 cap hit, $30.9 million, was set to be the third highest among NFL receivers. I'm Dexter Henry.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Time for your daily news brief. We get you caught up on the rumors, reports, and reconnaissance from the day in sports.
Alrighty, let's get to a news brief right here on the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Before I do that, though, let me tell you about a little Ask the Pros question. It's time to ask the pros. You, the listener, gets asked us a question brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Simply tweet your question at INFSportsCenter at Zach Gelb using the hashtag #AskThePros. Be listening later in the show. We might answer your question. Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get low prices and excellent customer service from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Max Crosby is there to stay with the Raiders. Agreed to a new contract with the Silver and Black today. Will make him the highest paid non-quarterback in the history of the NFL. Adam Schefter, or as people in the business call him, Shefty, did have the details on this contract with Max Crosby, and it's a 3-year, $106.5 million extension that includes $91.5 guaranteed, making him the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. Here is Max Crosby just the other day, the rush with Max, trying to do a little recruitment of one Aaron Rodgers to go play quarterback for the Silver and Black.
The first year off an Achilles is one of the hardest things to do. You've seen it happen with Kirk. Kirk had a down year. It happened with Aaron. I mean, he struggled, like you said, early on, but he got better as the season went. I think with all the doubt and all the negativity around Aaron Rodgers, he needs to retire, things like that, you know, he's getting cut by the Jets. I think he's going to come back and have I know he's 42 or 41.
Are you going to say MVP?
No, I think he's going to have a big year this year, and I hope it's in our town.
I thought that they should have made that move a few years ago when Aaron was looking to leave the Packers, right? And Devontae Adams was already there. I'm okay if that's the 1-year stopgap move, but I think they have to find somewhat of a long-term plan. And I know, right, why I say somewhat of a long-term plan is because the coach is only, on a 3-year contract, Pete Carroll, because he's older. So I would say either sign Sam Darnold for a 3-year deal, right? Could be one of the options. Draft a quarterback, whether it's trade up to get Cam Ward, or maybe you don't have to trade up to get Shador Sanders. And then if you don't like any of those options, then I would consider Aaron Rodgers. So I'm not saying it's off the table, but it wouldn't be priority 1 or priority 2 for me. DK Metcalf has requested a trade. We talked about that in the last segment. I have thrown out a few teams that could be interested, from the Pittsburgh Steelers to the Green Bay Packers, the New England Patriots. Also, maybe the Chargers get involved as well. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibilities. But this was James Palmer with us just the other week when I was talking about what could DK Metcalf potentially go for if, in fact, the Seahawks do elect to trade him. I've heard DK rumored as well. You know, he could probably go for, what, a first-round pick, you would think? Like an A.J. Brown type of deal from a few years back?
I don't think so. One thing with DK that has come up, if you're not an elite route runner, when you start to get up in age, it's a little bit harder to win consistently. DK's still a physical specimen and still is such a mismatch because of his size. But he's not an elite route runner, and he's not a guy that can run a million different routes in the route tree. And so some people in the league believe as age comes along, you don't stay in the league very long like that. That's happened to players that are just bigger bodied, advantage type of guys. And then when push comes to shove down the road, they didn't learn how to play it another way. I don't think DK's viewed as a first round type of trade.
So not even a first round pick to get DK Metcalf. It was a year left on his deal. So, you know, would he even go for a second? I would think he'd at least go for a conditional 3 that could turn into a 2. But you also have to pay him, and who knows how much he wants. But I would definitely be interested. If I need a wide receiver, DK Metcalf would definitely be of interest to me. All righty, let's go to Travis Kelce. This is on his New Heights podcast on why he returned for another season.
Why are you playing another season?
The biggest thing is that I love playing the game of football.
That's a good reason.
I love playing. I still feel like I can play it at a high level, and possibly at a higher level than I did last year. I don't think it was my best outing. I let my guys down in a lot more moments than I helped them, especially if you look at my track record and how I've been in years past. I want to give it a good run. I got a bad taste in my mouth on how I ended the year and how well I was playing, and you know how accountable I was for the people around me. And I love so many people in Kansas City, both in that facility, in the community. It's home for me now. I don't want to leave that life yet. I put in a lot of hard work, and I put in a lot of, focus into being the best that I can for KC. Last year, it just it didn't end well for us. I feel like there's a responsibility in me to play out the contract that I initially signed, to give Kansas City and the Chiefs organization everything that I got, and that's what I'm going to do, man. Kansas City, baby, we're back at it for at least one more year. I can't say whether or not this is going to be the last year because I still love a lot of what I do for the city of Kansas City and the Chiefs organization. So I know I got one on my contract. I'm going to give you guys everything I got, baby.
I want to say I'm not going to talk about Travis Kelce's future and when he's going to retire until he retires at this point. I know I will probably not stay true to that statement, but it's getting a little bit too much for me, if I'm just being honest. I don't fault him for wanting to come back. After the Super Bowl, that one interview he did, I was like, maybe he doesn't. And that's what really made me flip-flop back and forth on that. But now he's back. He still loves the game. And I'm more than fine, obviously, with Travis Kelce continuing his career. But the Chiefs better beef up that offensive line. Traded Joe Thuney today. And I know that means they'll probably bring back Trey Smith. But they got to find a way to beef up that offensive line because that's the reason why they didn't win the Super Bowl this year. They got mauled in the trenches. And it's also the reason why they didn't beat Tampa Bay as well because they got mauled in the trenches. You have Patrick Mahomes. He's like a cheat code. But if you can't protect him, he's like all the other great quarterbacks, then he will go down and he won't get the job done. Ryan Hot Take Hickey makes his triumphant return to the Zach Gelb Show after a 3-week hiatus next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining.
4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
I believe it's been 3 weeks. It is hour number 2 of our radio program, but making his triumphant return to the studio is Ryan Hot Take Hickey, who I guess got the flu, and then also I was on vacation. So
what do you mean you guess?
Well, it's good that I took vacation. I may have just said, I don't want to talk to Hickey because he's still sick and contagious, and I just wanted to bypass and said I'll just take the week off instead of talking to you.
You're like one of the only people who hasn't gotten sick here so far, so I'm jealous. Good for you.
I hate you now because now I'm going to get sick.
Oh,
I did take one sick day.
That does push the mush limits, that's for sure.
I did take a sick day. I think it was in December or November. There was like a bug going through the station where people just had like a stomach virus. And I woke up and I did not feel well. My stomach was killing me. And I also like lost my voice for about an hour and a half. And then it came back. So I just called out sick that day. That's take a lot for me to call out sick. You know,
if you can't talk, that's a
flu. I think I'd be coming in if I'm being honest.
Well, 101, sweats, chills, could
Was it
barely
really?
walk. Oh, what do you think? I just woke up with a 99 fever, said, I'm too sick, I can't come in.
I don't know.
I'm out here every day unless I physically cannot.
Maybe there's some tension on the evening show, and you just wanted to say, JR, I'm not showing up because you're mad at him. I don't know.
I missed my show too.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I was out like sleeping before my show even started on Sunday night. It was a rough day. Rough few days.
Maybe you were sending a little message to management. There's an open around here. Look what happens when I'm not in. I don't know who filled in for you.
I think things went smoothly.
Maybe it didn't go smoothly, and maybe people say, I'm missing the Hickster.
That's, you know what? That is how you show value. When I'm not here, what happens?
What was worse? When you got food poisoning?
Yes.
That was worse than the flu?
That was worse. When you talk about, yes. There's nothing. That is the worst, period.
That was the most mad I ever was at you, by the way. I got a call from Hickey. Hey, I don't know if I'm going to be able to make the Super Bowl because I had food poisoning. And it wasn't that I was necessarily mad at you. It's just like, I'm like, of course.
The timing was bad.
The timing was bad.
That was a 12-hour span where I truly thought like the end was near.
And at that point, we weren't that far removed from the COVID. So it was like a heightened awareness about being around people that were sick. So I'm like, if Hickey's coming out here because he still wanted to come on out to the Super Bowl and I go close to him and then I get sick, I was just in a 24-hour blender. But then you found a way to just muscle through, fight through, not eat any more sushi. And
sushi? It was steak. I'm not a seafood guy.
Oh, sorry. I thought it was sushi. My bad. And you had a terrible steak. You looked to me like a well-done guy with the steak. I'm surprised your steak was undercooked.
Medium. Not well done.
Medium rare.
I'm a medium.
Come on. What are you doing?
I don't need blood.
What a line. Make sure we have that as a drop, by the way, Botcher. All righty. DK Metcalf. He has requested a trade.
Yes.
I think always whenever someone requests a trade, it comes with like a negative connotation. There's also like a stigma. It's like, especially that wide receiver diva. I have no problem with DK Metcalf requesting a trade. Clearly, there's a disconnect on the contract with the Seattle Seahawks. I don't even know what they would get back. We had James Palmer on last week, and he said he doesn't even think that DK Metcalf would get a first-round pick in return from things that he's hearing. But teams have been thrown out there, the Patriots, the Bills, the Packers, the Steelers, the Chargers. I think there's a team that has to go get him. Who is your team that you think has to go get DK Metcalf?
I think it's the Packers.
Agreed.
They have a million receivers. No one has really separated themselves as a true number one guy. I think Jordan Love is good, but I think part of the reason why he struggled and was up and down last year was the fact that there's really no one reliable at receiver every single week. That's a guy where I think he helps propel that team a lot further if he goes there. The Packers also, usually pretty conservative, so they're in a good cap spot. They can afford to spend the money. I think that's a position where they should go all in.
And you look at this, because when we worked together, right, A.J. Brown got traded. He was viewed as a good wide receiver, then got viewed as a great wide receiver, and you also saw Jalen Hurts' career take off.
Right.
Stephon Diggs, I know he's a little bit more accomplished, but I don't think he was viewed as a top 5 receiver in the league at the time. He was viewed as a very good wide receiver, goes to Buffalo, gets viewed as an elite wide receiver, and Josh Allen's career takes off. It's a good foundation, a good year and a half here for Jordan Love, where I think DK Metcalf could use Jordan Love and Jordan Love could use DK Metcalf because, Geno Smith's not a bad quarterback, but I think there is a hot take of the day, a much higher ceiling for Jordan Love. So DK could benefit from this and Jordan Love could benefit from it. I think it makes a ton of sense.
I'm with you. I love the example as used. Like I said, it's a mutually beneficial relationship where I think there's no excuse for the Packers not to do it. He fits a need. He's right there in terms of the age range at 27. He's productive. He's had 900 yards every year of his career.
Yeah.
He's a plug-and-play guy, like you said, that makes the offense better, the quarterback better. It's you need that position. It's easy.
Max Crosby, contract extension.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird because he loves the Raiders. I get that.
Right.
The story of Max Crosby, everything that he's overcome, the way he's battled through addiction. I know he's been paid before, but now the highest paid non-quarterback in the history of the league. It's a very feel-good story. There's a but coming here.
Oh, I'm waiting for it. Let's hear it.
But I almost just want to say to Max Crosby, and maybe it's personal, and I understand that. Like, don't you want to win? Don't you want to go somewhere? You are not only one of the best defensive players in the league, one of the best players in the league. And I know that the Raiders, there's some optimism because they have Pete Carroll, they got Tommy Brady. But outside of you, what else do you got? You got Brock Bowers. You got Christian Wilkins, if he could stay healthy. Spillane's a good running back. I think he's back with them. Linebacker, I think he's back with them next year. But we don't know who could be your quarterback right now. So why do you keep on giving this team the benefit of the doubt when, look at the teams that are interested in Myles Garrett, those would be the same teams that'd be interested in you. I'd much rather go, and I know the Chiefs wouldn't be on the table because they probably wouldn't trade in division like how Myles Garrett could be, but the Eagles would be interested. The Lions, where he's from, would be interested. The Bills would be interested. The Commanders would be interested. Wouldn't you much rather go there instead of just staying with the Raiders?
You're probably right. 5 of the 7 top Super Bowl contenders would probably be all in on a trade for him. I'm with you. In a world where we see so much player movement, I have a tough time criticizing someone that wants to kind of stay in one spot and try to build. Like, I'll give him credit. Like, at the end of his career, is he going to win the ring? Probably not. I'd be shocked if he's sitting there with a ring on his.
With the Raiders?
Could he win one playoff game with the Raiders? I'm not even sure about at that point.
Can we make Stu happy again? That's the thing. Forget any other political messages. My political message is make Stu happy again. I need Stuart Kovacs to get a playoff win. That would be like a Super Bowl for him.
That would be pretty good for him and pretty good for that franchise.
I think the last playoff win for the Raiders was the one right before the Snow Bowl, right?
I think you're right because they've missed it for a while. They had like Connor Cook start one playoff game when Derek Carr got hurt in 2016.
Or was it the year after because they did make it to the Super Bowl? I forget which one. What happened?
The Super Bowl was 0-2 against the Buccaneers.
So then it was that run, that AFC Championship game. I think was their last playoff victory.
So we're talking 23 years now.
Oh my God!
Wow,
that's crazy.
But you know what? Max wants to stay there. He'll probably get a statue outside of the stadium.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
If he figures that is equal to a Super Bowl, which honestly I could view it kind of similar, you do you.
So my reaction to this also, I had a Hickey take.
What does that mean?
Well, like you, I think have this really good ability. This is a compliment.
Okay.
Where when there is something that happens, you make another point about somebody else on a different team, and you relate it back to the main point, which is Max Crosby, which is a good thing on a national radio program. I think you learned a few things when you were working for me, but maybe I learned from you as well.
Okay, so let's hear.
TJ Watt should request a trade. Don't do what Max Crosby's doing. You're on a good organization. You could talk yourself into being a championship caliber destination because they have 6 Super Bowl championships. This is a guy that is either the best or second best defensive player in the NFL. The Steelers haven't won a postseason game since the 2016 season. Go compete go to a team. All these Myles Garrett destinations would be applicable for him too. Go compete to a team where you could actually not only go win a Super Bowl, but actually go win a playoff game in.
I agree. I'll take it a step further. I think forget him requesting it. I think the Steelers should just trade him.
Ooh.
Like they're stuck in the middle. You know, that's a team where, sure, you win 9 or 10 games every year, you make the playoffs. You usually get blown out in the playoffs because the gap between where you are and actual real playoff teams is extremely wide. You can't beat up on the bad teams and the sloppy teams like they mostly do.
When the Steelers play the Bills next year in the playoffs, I know Hickey's hot take come wild card weekend. Folks, let me tell you, the Bills are going down. The Steelers are going to win,
well,
just
knowing
like the
me,
Broncos.
I'll pick like a Bills 49-0 win. All of a sudden, the Steelers would actually win that game and pull it off.
You have a few teams that you just love to pick against. Michigan's one of them. Buffalo's another. I'll tell you two. You know who is another one?
Who's that?
Friend of the show. Coach Prime, Deion Sanders. And Coach, if you're listening, I'm a believer. Yesterday, I said it's the jackassery of the NFL draft process with what they're doing to Shedeur Sanders right now. I woke up this morning with the follow on Twitter from Coach Prime.
Wow.
And we had a conversation today as everything goes down in the DMs. And he's been on the show 3 times, so he's considered a friend of the radio program.
How about that? Very nice. Very nice.
But I just wanted to be clear, anything that you're about to hear, the bull junk that you're about to hear from a Colorado hater and Ryan Hot Take Hickey, Coach, I'm a believer, Coach Prime, I am a believer. I said you should have got the Auburn job when you were at Jackson State, if you recall. But you've had some takes here on Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders. I purposely did not listen to your Sunday show.
Okay.
I always like to tune in for a little bit to your Sunday show. And I saw the headline, and I saw a headline of Travis Hunter shouldn't be a top 15 pick in the draft. And I said, that's bull junk. I'm a Coach Prime believer. I'm not listening to Ryan Hot Take Hickey, even though you're my guy. You're not Coach Prime. And I refuse to listen to your show on Sunday night. So what is this bull junk? What is this jackassery? What is this ludicrous take that you have that Travis Hunter shouldn't be a top 15 pick in the draft? Explain yourself.
I will say it was a little clickbaity, the headline.
Oh, there you go.
Travis Hunter should not be a top 15 pick.
You're saying your words are taken out of context
No.
now.
I did it to myself. I did it on purpose. Travis Hunter should not be a top 15 pick.
Oh, you write the headlines to YouTube?
Of course.
Oh, look at that.
I do it on myself.
Player Ryan Hot Take Hickey.
Asterisk underneath. If being primarily used as a wide receiver. To me, any receiver at this point in this draft is a waste of a top 15 pick because that position's so deep.
Oh, waste?
Every year,
Can
the
you
receiver
name 15
depth.
players? So your argument is if he's primarily being used as a wide receiver.
Yes, wide receiver
Which, by the way, I wonder how he is going to be used. Because if I'm Travis Hunter, I would rather be used as a wide receiver because it's a more lucrative position.
Right.
And I've seen teams, they've talked about this in both ways. I think he'll primarily be used as a defensive back, and then there will be packages for him on the offensive side of the ball. I can't see him falling past 4 in the draft, if we're just being clear. I think the latest that'll go is 4. But if they just say, like, let's say a team drafts that we only want him to be a wide receiver, we're not going to use him as defensive back, or primarily use him as a wide receiver, then some package for defensive back, you then don't think he should be picked in the top 15 picks of the draft?
I don't, because it's a waste of a pick. You can get a receiver of equal value in the second round, third round. Look at the best receivers in the NFL. Outside of Jamar Chase, every receiver is not the first receiver taken in their draft class. A lot of them were second round picks, third round picks, fourth round picks in the case of Amon-Ra St. Brown. That's a position where the depth is always the greatest in the draft. There's so many great receivers that are productive that can come in. Look at Puka Nacua coming in right away and contributing. Mm-hmm. If you are going to just play him just at receiver, I don't think, to me, he's head and shoulders better than any other receiver where it's like him, wide gap, everybody else. If you have a receiver need, but you also have a need at DB, D-end, offensive tackle, whatever it may be, well, if you're going to take him at, let's just say 4 at receiver, and then you come back in the second round and you need a defensive end or a tackle, the depth at that point is less at those positions compared to receiver. So I'd rather take a tackle, defensive end, whatever, than in round 2 come back and say, okay, give me Mecca Buka. Give me Matthew Golden. Like, I just think the value is better. I'm with you. I think he should play DB. And if he's going to be, he's a top 5 DB pick, no doubt about it. That's a position where you need to draft at the top half of the first round. All the best DBs in the league.
Surtain, Sauce.
Right. First, second, third corners off the board in their draft class, all top 15, 20 picks. I think he's a better DB than receiver in general. I think you get more value from a team perspective playing at DB. I just can't see the justification of a team drafting him 2, 3, 4, 1 and saying he's playing receiver. Also, if he plays primarily receiver, how much DB is he going to play? Like, I think it's so much.
I think it's tougher if you're primarily a receiver than to go play defensive back.
I agree.
Think we've seen some instances of it before, but I think it is much easier to be primarily defensive back and then some packages at wide receiver.
I agree.
That I do agree.
And I think that's what he'll end up doing.
Yeah.
But again, it could be, this is, I hate draft season because it is smoke screen and I do buy in.
Yeah.
But Andrew Berry and others are talking about how he's a primarily, we see him as a receiver. I'm like, what are we doing here?
Yeah. Non-believer Ryan Hot Take Hickey in studio with us. Just want to make sure that's clear in case of my BFF Coach Prime is listening. Shedeur Sanders, where are you at with him? Because Josina Anderson, she didn't say it, but she basically said it in a report. A top 7 team, a quarterback coach team who's picking in the top 7, said that Shedeur Sanders came off as brash, as arrogant, wink, wink. To me, that's the Jets quarterback coach. Where do you think Shedeur Sanders goes in the draft? Come on. Top 7? Who says top 7?
That's a good point. I didn't think about it like that. That's why.
And then who, if it is the top 7, who's in the top 6? The Raiders aren't going to talk negatively about him. I don't think the Browns would. I don't think the Giants would.
Well, smokescreen season. Maybe the Raiders did to knock him down. Maybe they think the Titans or the Browns or someone is getting concerned, or they're worried about they're getting enamored with Shador. Well, let's make sure we knock him down.
But Josina's report was so specific. It was a quarterback coach that made it known to many people, was pretty much the gist of that report. That's why I don't think it's one of those things. Fair thought from what you have.
But again, if you want him badly, right, isn't this the time to say, like, oh, Shador, let me tell you how he was with us. He was awful.
We talk about that.
It's awful.
The teams really passed on him because some quarterback coach on another team said he's brash and arrogant.
I don't think so. But I mean, I guess there are enough dumb teams out there.
Yeah, your football team.
But he also keeps on, like, if it didn't work, I think eventually guys will go, okay, fine, we're going to stop, the whole spreading of misinformation or whatever. It keeps on happening every year. I feel like it almost gets worse every year now.
So where do you think should, non-believer Ryan Hot Take Hickey, Coach Prime, if you're listening, I'm a believer. Where do you think Shador Sanders go?
Where do I think he will go? I want to say the Raiders. The only thing I don't
know.
That's
the farthest I think he could
is
go.
If it's at 6 or if the Raiders trade up.
Ooh, okay. All right,
I could see it being aggressive.
Let's do a little exercise. Number 1 pick. Yes or no? Does Tennessee keep it?
I think so.
All right. Who do they draft then?
I think they take Abdul Carter.
Wow. You think they keep the pick and then take Abdul Carter? I think if they're not drafting Cam Ward, then they're trading back to 2 or 3 so they could still get either Abdul Carter or Travis
I just
Hunter.
don't know the appetite for how many teams want to trade up.
I think the Browns and I think the Giants. That's the only thing. Put it this way. I think that's the only appetite Tennessee has.
Which is also fair. I mean, if you're going to drop down, I would not feel great about going to 6.
And it's only costing me a swap of 1s, a 3. It may only be a swap of 1s and 2 3s, but if I'm Joe Schoen, I get this deal done now and just do a swap of 1s, a 3, and a 2.
If I'm Joe Schoen too, I mean, drafting quarterback does not guarantee your job, as we saw with the Bears. They drafted Justin Fields, but it's something. Because that's a team where I don't know where they're going.
You go to Justin Fields. How about just Caleb Williams first? Eberflus, right? A little hope he gets Caleb Williams.
Yeah. That's right. I actually forgot about him. I pushed him so far out of my mind. But I remember we had a conversation about the Bears.
So many positive things about the Bears last year. I think we just both try to erase that from the memory.
That's right. Yeah. Nobody's safe when you draft a quarterback. Not anymore.
No one's safe also, and Hickey guarantees that Caleb Williams will be like the greatest quarterback ever.
Sure.
But anyway, so you have Abdul Carter going 1 to Tennessee. Who do the Browns then take it to?
I think they take Cam Ward.
Okay. Giants at 3. It's either Travis Hunter or Shador Sanders.
I think they take Travis Hunter.
Wow.
I don't.
Then my Patriots say, Stu, you Raiders, let's bend you over and smack you around and take you for everything. That's what it turns into.
Call Woody Johnson, too, up that offer. Sure, Woody be dumb enough to. Well, actually, I think Woody would probably.
I don't think the Patriots would trade with the Jets. I don't.
Well, the Jets give you the right offer.
Yeah, 4 first-round picks. Then we have a trade.
Well, I could see. I mean, look, he's
and Putney just because I feel like
Shador
it. You
Sanders,
pancake-eating mother bleeper.
Shador Sanders is a star, right? Woody loves stars. I could see him saying, "You know what? You want 5? I know we can't even give you 5, but we're going to give you 5." Come on.
I want Shador with the Giants. I do. I think it'd be fun. Him and Malik Neighbors.
In that market, it'd be very fascinating. I mean, he's built for big markets, which I think would make sense too. It'd be interesting. I think Brian Daboll's a really good coach, so I do hope the Giants end up drafting a quarterback because I think with Daniel Jones, it's just Daniel Jones is probably not a bad coaching problem.
So you then have at 3 the Giants taking Travis Hunter.
I'll say Travis Hunter. Right
what do the Patriots then do it for?
Number 1, I think you try to call up the Raiders. My short arm guy?
Yeah. Will Campbell?
Yeah. I mean, look,
he looked pretty good to me when he played.
I would take Will Campbell. I would take Josh Simmons out of Ohio State if you need a tackle. But first thing I would try to do is trade down.
Okay.
Call the Jets, call the Raiders, because then you go from 4 to 6, 4 to 7.
In that
You're still
case,
picking pretty high talent-wise.
If I'm keeping the pick in that case.
If you are, you saying you
if
being
I'm the
Patriots?
Yes. And I think they can get Ronnie Stanley in free agency. I do. I understand the need for the offensive line. I would beef up the defensive line. You got Keon White, who is okay, solid. I think there's upside with him. You got Christian Barmore, who I like a lot. I would draft Mason Graham then at that spot.
Stuffer. Right in the middle. Run stuffer, can get after the quarterback.
So if the Patriots keep the pick, who are you going with at 4? They keep the pick.
I think they go offensive line.
Okay.
I like your defensive line idea.
Campbell,
and maybe
Banks,
Mike,
the Missouri guy as well, I think.
Mike Vrabel probably. I mean, I think it'd be hard for him to probably say no to Mason Graham, but I would go offensive tackle, try to protect my quarterback.
Would the Jaguars then go Mason Graham at 5?
I think they should.
Okay.
They need a lot of help in a lot of places.
And then the Raiders get Shador. in that
It's
exercise.
also-
But that's the thing. That's if Shedeur is on the board, I don't see a way that the Raiders pass up.
I agree. I totally agree.
All right, let's
Totally
get
agree.
real quickly before we let you run. I need 2 quick hot take predictions from you. Aaron Rodgers, where's he going?
I still say nowhere. It's not. I just don't know who signs him. Who wants him? He's a walking headache.
Giants.
He's 42 years old. For what? Like
Max Crosby wants him.
But like Max Crosby does want him. Good luck to you. But like for the Giants, if they don't draft a quarterback, right? Aaron Rodgers is going to be a placeholder for a year or two. You can get any one of those other guys that are a lot less of a headache.
Yeah, but
you can get
here's
Russ.
what you're missing. Here's what you're missing. You need a placeholder. Joe Shane, though, and Brian Daboll, if they don't get a quarterback in the draft, they need to then go get the best placeholder available, because if they don't win games this year, that's a problem.
Is Aaron Rodgers the best placeholder available? Is he the best quarterback out there?
Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson, or either have Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, Sam Darnold, that's a different conversation. But the Giants also don't have what the Vikings just had this past year.
That's
So,
Sam.
yes, I think Aaron for the Giants would be the best option if it's not getting a quarterback in the draft. That's why I also think that there's going to be a trade for the number 1 pick. I know the Aaron thing's complicated because, right, he's not officially available yet from the
They
Jets.
have not cut him yet.
Yeah,
I don't believe
so. I think within the next week that deal could get done if it is. If they sign Russell, I still think they're in line to go move up to number 1. Alrighty. The last name I had for you. Oh, who's quarterback in the Raiders next year? You just passed on Shedeur.
I know.
Oh wait, no, you.
Well,
you
I
got
think they'll
Shedeur
take
in the
him at
draft.
6.
If it's in the
If
free
it's
agency,
not,
though.
I think it's Sam Darnold.
Okay.
I think they go after Sam.
And then is Russ in Pittsburgh, or is it Justin Fields in Pittsburgh?
Everyone's saying Justin Fields. I mean,
Yeah. Kabola
I
joined
would
us
have
and said
probably
that.
taken Russ. I mean, either way, I think you're screwed. I probably would have just taken Russ and see if there's any magic left, but it seems like that ship is a long sail to Pittsburgh. That's another guy. I mean,
Any juicy free agency takes out of you?
he could.
You got anything juicy?
No, I feel like the free agency kind of is boring, personally. Like, I take that back. I think free agency is a little overhyped because there's really not that many great players out there. So I don't have any.
This year, yeah.
This year. But even like most years, most guys are tagged. Here's a non-free agency, but franchise tag hot take maybe. Bengals should trade T. Higgins. It's in their best interest.
Okay, I disagree, but that's fine. What about Sam Darnold? You're like obsessed with him going back to the Vikings because you hate J.J. McCarthy and anyone.
I think it's the best spot for him. Like Sam Darnold, I will say, you know me, I'm a Sam Darnold guy. With that said, he needs the right situation. Those situations out there are not right for him. He cannot go into a team and save them.
Yeah,
Even
but-
with one piece, he can't do it.
So he's not going to be that long-term option. So if you go back there for a year, you know what's going to be different from what happened this year?
Well,
You're
who
probably
needs
going to
a
be worse in
quarterback?
the regular season, and then come postseason time, you're not going to get the job done.
But who needs a quarterback next year compared to this year could be different.
Yeah,
And
I don't think much would change from a year for Sam Darnold. I think they're going to J.J. McCarthy. All righty, Hickey, great stuff as always. We appreciate it.
thank you, Z-Man.
All righty, we'll take a timeout. When we come on back, why the Giants are the most intriguing team to me entering free agency. We'll get to that on the other side.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
This is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network.
Alrighty, we will have a Take-5 Wednesday coming up in about 10 minutes or less. And it is in honor of the incompetence of the Dallas Mavericks. You know, I do the drama Dallas choking Cowboys. I got to figure out something for the Dallas Mavericks because they could be my least favorite team in sports right now. So last night I was at the Knicks-Warriors game. And, sitting a row behind the Knicks bench. And someone asked me today, did you do any heckling? And I'm like, no. I acted like a respectable adult. And I sat there, I watched the game, I did a little cheering, and that was it. But then I thought to myself, who would I heckle? And quite frankly, it would be no one on the Warriors. I'm going to admit this. I kind of like Draymond Green these days. The last 2-3 years, I thought Draymond was insufferable. You know me, I'm an accountability guy, and he took zero accountability for the Jordan Poole situation. But when Draymond Green at All-Star Weekend just basically took a verbal blowtorch to the entire product, I thought that was effing awesome. And then when the fans were getting on Draymond last night, when they started chanting TNT, TNT, which I thought was creative from the Knicks fan, but I thought it was a little too late, especially when you're down by 10 with about a minute and a half left. It looked like he was about to jaw with the fans, and then Jimmy Butler, of all people, walked up to Draymond Green and was like, calm down. Calm down. And I saw Draymond Green take a lot of photos with fans before the games last night, and also children too. So I don't know. I left the game last night. I'm like, I don't want to say I'm a Draymond Green guy, but I could tolerate Draymond Green now. But I'll tell you, if the Knicks were playing the Mavs last night, I think I would have got kicked out of the building. Because I would have been heckling Nico Harrison if he was there and just yelling nonstop and going off and just eviscerating Nico Harrison. And then they tried to kick me out of the building. I think I would have just gone limp, right? And I think I would have just made the poor security just carry me out, my large frame, out of the building just to try to create a scene at that point. And if there would have been any Mavericks fans there, Samter, I think they would have given me a standing ovation. Because Mavericks fans right now, they hate their own team. They hate their own franchise. There's no hope. Kyrie's now out for the year, unfortunately, with the torn ACL. Anthony Davis is not going to return to play another game. But you traded away your future, your hope, and also someone that was just in the NBA Finals last year. June, for crying out loud. They were in the NBA Finals, and you go from June in the NBA Finals where you lose the championship, okay, unexpected run, to now we're sitting here in March, and if you try to tell me, Zach, what hope do you have for the Mavericks? I got none. And I think that fan base would actually be happy if they found out that they're moving to Vegas in a few years from now, even if they lost the team, because that's how ugly that situation is. I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah, but with everything that's been going on, at least ticket prices there in Dallas are going way down.
Who would want to go see that game?
Have you seen this whole thing?
Yes, and I know that they jacked the season ticket prices up 8%. But if you're going on SeatGeek or StubHub or whatever your site is, who would contemplate signing up for season tickets, even on the second market? Let me check this. I'm going to go to SeatGeek right now. And hopefully I don't offend anybody by just SeatGeek's the first site that I thought of here. Mavericks. I'm just curious what a ticket costs right now. Oh, my goodness gracious. That's hysterical.
$12.
Grizzlies at Mavericks. Friday night. What do you think it is?
I mean, the Grizzlies are good. You've got star players there. They're a top 5, top 6 team in the West. I mean, where are we looking? We're looking like low level.
Worst seat in the house. Grizzlies, Mavericks, worst seat in the house at American Airlines Center in Dallas. What do you think it is? With fees.
$24.
$9.
Wow.
$9. Upper deck behind the basket. Whew. That's crazy. Absolutely crazy. Dexter Henry's here, by the way. And Dexter Henry not only does a great job for us on the national updates, but he's also a star at the New York Post, right? Is that technically is there still a partnership with SNY?
No, the partnership ended.
Right? I know you guys moved studios, but I saw you with Begley the other night, so yeah. I wasn't sure.
Oh, so that's very confused. But we're still friends. Begley's my guy.
No, Ian Begley's a good guy.
Yeah.
So you cover also the New York sports scene.
Yes.
I think the Giants are the most intriguing team entering free agency. Not that I have any high aspirations for them. And I know Rodgers is not coming back with the Jets, and I don't know officially when he's going to be free to sign somewhere else. But I think from now until the start of free agency next week, the Giants are extremely intriguing because they could get a deal done with Tennessee, maybe for the first overall pick. Mm-hmm. And even if they don't get the deal for the number 1 overall pick, and maybe they want to wait after free agency or as you get closer to the draft, I think who they sign can really dictate if they're going to move up from 3 to 1. Because if you sign Russell Wilson, right, I think Russ, even though he wouldn't love being the mentor and he still thinks he's a star, I don't think it prevents you from going from 3 to 1 to draft Cam Ward.
No, I don't think so either.
If you give Sam Darnold a 3 or 4 year deal, I think that takes you out of moving up in the draft spot. But if you bring in Aaron Rodgers, or the Giants say we're going to sign Aaron Rodgers, that's our intention, I don't think then you're moving up from 3 to 1 to go get a quarterback.
Oh, so do you think they would take one in the second round, maybe looking like a Jalen Milroe?
Maybe. That's a crapshoot, though, when you do that. For every Jalen Hurts that goes in the second round that ends up being a stud, I could show you guys that end up stinking.
Yeah, that's fair. If I was the Giants, I would not be in the Aaron Rodgers sweepstakes, personally.
You wouldn't be?
No, I would not be.
Here's the challenging part. Mm-hmm. Last year, Joe Shane said, I have Daniel Jones in my back pocket, but I don't even think he really thought Daniel Jones was going to be his guy. and they won towards the end of the season with the Tommy DeVito magic with the chicken cutlets and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And it moved them back in the draft where, okay, they realized they're not going to get Jaden Daniels. That's what they wanted. Caleb Williams is going 1.
Yep.
And then they thought they could get a deal done with the Patriots for Drake May, but they couldn't. So by then you already had free agency come and go. You had the draft come and go, and it's like, we have to begrudgingly run it back with Daniel Jones. This year, I don't think you could wait because Joe Shane, if his ass was on fire last year on the hot seat, it's even worse this year.
Yeah, I mean, him and
You've already burned some curtain downs.
Yeah, I don't want to say it's a hot seat, all right? It's like the flames are all around, right? Like it's so.
It's like the dog emoji on social media.
Right. It's like that
the
emoji.
meme. Everything's fine.
Everything's fine. So the thing about that, I'm glad you brought that up, Zach, is are you going for the quick fix right now to save your job, right? Or,
what would the quick fix then be to save your job? Because I think that could be interpreted in many different ways.
Right. Aaron Rodgers could be that. I wouldn't trust that because I think he's got limited mobility.
If I'm Joe Shane and I'm trying to save my job, I'm going up from 3-1 to get Cam Ward because even though it doesn't guarantee you'll be back next year, I think it provides the most hope.
I happen to agree with you 100%. If you're put it like this, if you're going to go down swinging, swinging big, go for the guy that can help you now and possibly in the future.
And this is what I would do. I would call up Tennessee today, Borgonzi, and say, hey, I got to know if you're interested in trading this pick right now. I'll give you a swap of 1s, a 3, and a 2. Is that enough to get the deal done? And we'll see what they say. If they say no, I have to still keep them in the loop, and maybe I could still trade up. If they're listening, at least I know they're interested. But then I got to do something Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday next week just in case if I can't find a way to trade up or if at 3 for some reason Shedeur Sanders still isn't there. You know, because there's a case Shedeur, I think he'll be there, but there's also a case that he's not there.
There's a case that he's not there as well, too. Do you think it's crazy that Tennessee would even trade the pick? I think it's crazy.
So I don't think it's crazy. Here's why. Because I don't take a quarterback in the first round if I don't love him. But in this case, I think it's the exception because it's not your normal return. Like Connor Hughes reported that right now it'd be a swap of 1s and 2 3s. For me, if I just like Cam Ward, I take the gamble there and just take Cam Ward number 1 overall. Because
but if you get an overwhelming package, then you're going to say, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But like if I'm them, I don't think there's an overwhelming package out there that's going to happen because I think they're either going to take Cam Ward 1 or they're going to fall back to 2 or 3. So therefore, I don't think it's going to be an overwhelming package. So at that rate, I would just take Cam Ward as the number 1 overall pick.
I happen to agree with that, but I see your point. And if there was something that blew you away, you would do it.
You know what? I'll save this for your next update.
Yes.
I want to know for your next update who's going to be starting for your Steelers.
Oh, that's a great
Coming
question.
up week 1 of the 2025 season.
Who knows?
We'll come on back with a little Take-5 Wednesday update time first. Here is Dexter Henry.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
All right, Zach. Kevin Durant scored 34 points last night to pull the Suns out of a 23-point third quarter hole. Led a comeback win for Phoenix, but after the game, all the talk was about a pretty heated exchange with head coach Mike Budenholzer as KD returned to the bench during the timeout. Durant said after the game, it was nothing to stress about.
We competitive as two individuals who want to see things done the right way. And sometimes my way ain't the way that Bud want to do it and vice versa. And he allows me as a player on the team, a veteran on the team, to voice my opinion. If we both didn't care, we would never have stuff like that.
Now, the Suns, they might be stressing about where they are in the standings. Phoenix is 4 games under 500, 3 games out of the last spot in the West play-in. 8-game NBA slate tonight. The hottest team in the association, that would be the Cavaliers. They're going to look to make it 12 wins in a row. They will be hosting the Heat. The Cavs have overcome double-digit deficits in their last 3 games. Now, out west, the top team there, the Thunder, they're going to look to win their 5th consecutive game as they visit the Grizzlies in Grind City. I'm Dexter Henry.
Hey, sports fans, it's JR from the JR Sport Brief. Check us out 24/7 on your local affiliate or the Odyssey app.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
The football season might be over.
What? Over? Did you say over? Nothing is over until we decide it is.
But don't you worry, there are still rankings to be made.
Yabba dabba doo!
So get ready as Zach gives you his top 5 in this week's special edition of Take-5 Wednesday.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff.
Alrighty, here's the topic today. Who is a fan of a team that I would not want to be? And this is in honor of the Dallas Mavericks and that putrid, terrible, horrible, and disgraceful organization. So I'm not going to put the Mavericks in the top 5 because it's in honor of them, and they would clearly be the number 1 answer. It's the last time they'll ever be number 1 in something. Well, maybe the number 1 pick of the draft, but that's not in a good way. They're terrible. Alrighty, so here are the 5 fan bases I wouldn't want to be a part of right now in honor of the Mavericks. In at number 5, it's the Chicago White Sox. Your little brother in town to the Chicago Cubs. I know you won a World Series back in 2005, but we're a long ways away from that. Last year, you actually got worse than where you were in 2023, when in 2023 you were 61-101. How do you get worse in baseball and significantly worse in baseball from 61 to 101? Well, then you go 41-121. So the Chicago White Sox are in at number 5. In at number 4, the Sacramento Kings. You had a little bit of a few years. You thought, okay, maybe you're moving in the right direction. You know, when they played the Warriors, that was a fun playoff series, I think, 2 years ago. You had early heartbreak earlier in my life up against the Lakers in that series where they're still complaining about the officials, and I get it. But now, what hope do you have? You just traded De'Aaron Fox because he didn't want to be there anymore. Now he's with the San Antonio Spurs. I have zero hope if I'm a fan of the Sacramento Kings. So White Sox in at 5, the Kings in at 4. In at number 3, it's the Jets, Jets. So when I look at the Jets, I understand Jets fans will tell me, oh, but we got a good young roster. Oh, we got Quentin Williams. Oh, we got Sauce Gardner. Ooh, we got Garrett Wilson. Ooh, we got Breece Hall. But you're the Jets, right? Woody Johnson is a disgraceful, terrible owner. You have no quarterback. You just went all in on Aaron Rodgers. And I know you can't prevent injury, but that blew up in your face. And this year was an unmitigated disaster. And now, right, Jet fans are like, oh, well, they just need a quarterback. All right, where are you going to get that quarterback? You just got rid of Aaron Rodgers. Sam Darnold wouldn't touch your organization with a 10-foot pole. And ironically, that could be the best fit right now. Russell Wilson, that doesn't excite anybody. I take a gamble on Justin Fields. I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. But the Jets are sitting there at 7 in the draft right now. Well, Cam Ward's going to be the number 1 overall pick of the draft one way or another. And I don't think Shador Sanders has fallen past 6. So unless if you're trading up, I don't think you're getting a long-term option at the quarterback position this offseason. It's another year where the New York Jets, their fans will find a way to talk themselves into believing in this team. And then come like November, early November, maybe even late October or mid-October, the Jet fan will be disappointed. The Jet fan hasn't won a Lombardi trophy since Super Bowl III. And since then, there has been a lot of embarrassing moments for the Jets, and they have the longest drought in the 4 sports right now that we do have participating in the 4 major sports. The Jets have the longest playoff drought. All righty. So White Sox 5, Kings 4, Jets 3. Fan bases I would not want to be a part of right now. In at number 2, we go to the ice. And when we go to the ice, it's the Buffalo Sabres. I know they got rid of Jack Eichel in a trade a little while back to the Vegas Golden Knights. But this organization, you play in a great sports town. Like, the Bills haven't won a Super Bowl. Look at the way that we talk about the Buffalo Bills. But the Sabres have just been an absolute disgrace for a long time, and I don't see it getting better anytime soon. Like, they are just a horrible organization. You look at the Sabres, they haven't made the playoffs since 2011. 2011, they haven't made the postseason. And their highest win total since then, oh my goodness gracious, 42 wins was the highest win total that they've had. And currently they're 24-30 with 54 points. Last year, they were 39-37 with 84 points. That organization, great sports town, terrible hockey team though. And in at number 1, it's a team that I have a soft spot for. It's a team that, because of their radio hosts and their city, I find myself often hoping that they're going to get it right. And it's the Here we go, Brownies. Here we go. Hoo, hoo. The Cleveland Browns are a fan base I wouldn't want to be. And here's why. You went all in on Deshaun Watson. Now, you could debate if they should have done that. They went all in for Deshaun Watson because of the fact, not that they thought he was this award-winning human being, it's because he was viewed as a top quarterback in the NFL when he was made available. Teams will push aside horrible things that human beings do if you could throw the football and you could try to go win games. But you traded all that draft capital, and what did you get out of it? Nothing. Deshaun Watson stinks. Deshaun Watson's days as a starting quarterback are donezo. And now Myles Garrett wants out. Nick Chubb is going to sign somewhere else this offseason. So what do you have? And this was a team with Kevin Stefanski. He's had 2 Coach of the Year award wins. And also, you've made the playoffs twice with Kevin Stefanski. But there's no future. There's no hope. So based off the Dallas Mavericks, 5 fan bases that I would not want to be a part of, the Chicago White Sox in at number 5. The Kings are in at number 4. The Jets are in at number 3. The Sabres are in at number 2. And the Browns are in at number 1. Usually when we do this segment, we do Speak Now, Forever Hold Your Peace. When it's in football season, it's top 5 teams in college football and top 5 teams in the NFL. We've now done Take-5 Wednesday twice in this way post-football season, and I've never said Speak Now, Forever Hold Your Peace. So maybe that's something, Santa, for next week that we end up doing with Take-5 Wednesday. We don't need to do it today. But I think that's another layer that we should add, maybe a team or two that you thought I maybe missed, and then we could sit there and I could tell you why you're either right and I missed it, or it's one that I just thought could be in the ballpark, but not one of the ones that I'm going with. And I'm sure Santa, if I said, hey, give me something right now, you'd talk about some soccer team that I don't give a rat's ass about, right?
No, I was just thinking about America's team. The Dallas Cowboys? Yeah. Brian Schottenheimer and,
I think they could
Micah
actually make
Parsons
the playoffs
and all the
this year.
talk. What?
I think they could actually make the playoffs this year. And remember, I told you last year they weren't going to make the playoffs. That's kind of the model. Everyone slams one team. There's no hope. There's no future. If Dak's healthy with Micah Parsons and CeeDee Lamb, and maybe they make a move or two on the offensive side of the ball this offseason, can they find a way to string together 9 or 10 wins and make the postseason? I don't think that'd be crazy. But they're in a terrible spot. They're not bad enough to go get a franchise quarterback. You just paid Dak Prescott again to be your franchise quarterback, and he's good, but he's not great. And we're close to actually contending for a Super Bowl. You're right in that spot where you're not terrible, but you're not great, and you're just kind of stuck. So, yeah, I understand
And
why.
it's not just about the winning or losing with them. It's just about all the circus that's been there, but it's been taken up a notch, especially with podcasting and all the other junk that's been going on.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with the Micah Parsons podcast. I don't. I heard Jerry was speaking today. Maybe we'll get you that soundbite later. But last year it was all in, and now this year, basically, after they just made a move the other day to bring back one of their own, it's I'm not going to be that aggressive in free agency. When his son the other week was just saying they're going to be selectively aggressive. So, Cowboys are midseason form. They're not on the same page to start free agency next week. All righty, we'll take a break. When we come on back, there's one quarterback that I already know will be under the most scrutiny this year. I'll tell you who that quarterback is when we come on back. It is the Zach Gelb Show right here on the Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
Alrighty, hour number 3 of our radio program. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. I did see today that Happy Gilmore 2 is going to be released on July 25th on Netflix. That is what I saw today, that Happy Gilmore 2 will be released on July 25th on Netflix. I was reading some of the people that will be making appearances in this movie, and I did not see, I don't know if this is confirmed or not, but I did not see our friend Paige Baranek on it. Now, I thought she would have been great for whoever, I know it was Julie Bowen, but whatever her character was called in the original Happy Gilmore, I think she would have just done great, especially when it's the happy place scene. I thought that would have been a very good spot for Paige Baranek. And when she joined us at Radio Row, I tried to see if she would take the bait on Happy Gilmore, and she just kind of left it very open and kind of up there for interpretation and wouldn't confirm nor deny. And I walked away saying, maybe I'm wrong on that one, but I don't think that she ended up getting casted in the movie, which I think is a terrible miss by Adam Sandler. I think there's only one other egregious omission in this movie, and I'm an Adam Sandler guy, but I just got to call it how it is. He did make a promise to me once, Adam Sandler. Now, this is well over a decade ago. He made a promise to me when I was in high school, and this was at the Dallas Super Bowl. Were you at the Dallas Super Bowl, Samter? This was Packers against the Steelers. There was an ice storm in Dallas. I think it was like 2011 or 2012. You weren't there? Let me tell you, my father and I were in a rent-a-car, and we're driving to Radio Row. There is an ice storm, and Dallas is not used to snow, ice, all that stuff. How you would go to a park, Samter, and you would see dirt get like picked up in a park is what they were using on the highway to try to pick up the snow. It was the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Yes, you even gave me a look like, what the heck am I talking about? And then they had to emergency transport snow plows into the state of Texas, into the city of Dallas, to get the snow off the road because they didn't have enough. It's the first time in my life and the only time in my life where my dad turned to me and said, son, I don't know if we're going to survive this one. Because it was a 10-minute drive, and it was a terrible drive. The car, I thought we were going to skid off the road, and it was just a disaster. But we made it there, obviously.
He said that before you guys arrived at your destination?
It was only a 10-minute drive.
Oh, my goodness.
And like 2 minutes in, he goes, they said this was bad. And we're like, they didn't get any snow. We're New Yorkers. They didn't really get any crazy snow, so it was like an inch. But an inch in Dallas is like a foot of crying out loud. And they were just not equipped for it. But anyway, getting back to Happy Gilmore 2, which from what the internet says, which I hope that's a reliable source, is that Happy Gilmore 2 will be available on Netflix starting July 25th. What do you think the reviews are going to be? Because Sandler, by the way, at that Super Bowl, let me finish the story, he promised me that I would be in a movie. He said I'm a cute kid at the time, and he goes, I'll let you be in the next movie. And never ended up getting a call. I've seen him since.
I mean, it was like 13, 14 years ago. You've gotten less cute as a kid since then.
You promised me a role in a movie. I expect to be in the movie. Now, they were casting extras for this, and there was an application process. I thought about filling one out and going to interview for it. There was it was too much of a process, and it was like an hour Zoom, and that would have been great shtick. Here, I would have played him a clip. Hey, this is Adam Sandler. You ever heard of him? The Sandman, Happy Gilmore, right? All that stuff. This is him saying I should be in a movie. Maybe they would have given me a role, but no, I'm not. You think Perlos in that movie?
I don't think so.
Well, the reason I ask it is because
he was in Hustle.
He was in Hustle.
And he had a line in Hustle.
Which, by the way, how outside of Kevin Nagandi, I am one of the biggest stars to come out of Temple University. That sounds like such a douchey thing. That's basically Temple, that movie. How I was not asked to be in that movie. Very offended. But Happy Gilmore 2, how do you think we're going to be talking about it? Now,
I have high hopes. Okay.
Before you answer, Botcher, have you seen Happy Gilmore?
Yes, I've seen Happy Gilmore.
Okay. Yes.
That's a good one.
You
the replacements. Okay, the replacements versus Happy Gilmore. It's like completely
Samter, have you seen The Replacements?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
The Shane Falco. Yeah, of course. Gene Hackman.
Well, we were talking about the whole Gene Hackman situation and his. You weren't here yesterday. That's why you didn't know what we were talking about. We were talking about Gene Hackman's death and how his wife died and the dog died, and they thought it was carbon monoxide at first, and now it's not, and it's how mysterious. And I'm like, I wonder where The Replacements is ranked, because that's one of my favorite movies ever. Whenever it's on, I just think it's a good watch, and it's subjective. And it was like ranked like 55 in just Gene Hackman movies, in just movies that he's appeared in. So it was revealed to me yesterday that Stu and Botcher both haven't seen The Replacements.
I mean, Stu hasn't seen more than 3 movies in his life, but The Replacements is a fun movie.
It's a classic.
But like from a standpoint of like good acting and great writing and good storytelling,
For me, my point was,
I enjoy it though.
There's a lot of sports movies that people don't think are good movies, like that show Ballers. I said this yesterday. I love the show Ballers because it was a sport entourage. Most people hated the show Ballers.
I thought it was great.
I loved it. So it doesn't shock me that I love the movie The Replacements, especially when you have one of the offensive linemen throw up in the huddle and they shuffle away because he had too many eggs, and then they're in the jail cell as well. It was just so many good scenes from that movie. Foul, go, foul, go, foul, go. So just a wonderful movie. But how do you think Happy Gilmore 2 will be reviewed before even any of us see it?
So here's my concern. Adam Sandler, his best movies of the last 5 to 8 years have been serious movies, or like not his shticky Adam Sandler funny movies.
What was the movie? It was the last movie I saw in movie theaters before I had to get dragged to
Uncut Gems?
Hamilton. Yeah, not Hamilton. What's the Wicked? Wicked. I saw Wicked like a few months ago. That was the first time I went back to a movie theater since Uncut Gems. I liked Uncut Gems. I thought that was a good Sandler movie.
It's a great. What I'm saying is his best movies have been more serious roles, right? He had Hustle, which was a more serious movie.
You think Hustle's a serious movie?
It's not a comedy. Like when I think of Adam Sandler's shticky, like Billy Madison, Waterboy, Big Daddy, Mr. D's.
Water sucks.
Yeah, like those really ridiculous, stupid Adam Sandler movies. The problem is they were so good for a while, right?
I don't need to see serious Sandler.
All those, but serious Sandler is great Sandler. Really good Sandler movies. Spanglish was a really good movie. Anger Management. Some of these good dark comedies.
50 First Dates. Did you like that one?
Yeah, that was one of the more recent ones, but that was a little bit better. But for the most part, he started putting out these like Netflix comedies with all of his buddies, like, Rob Schneider and Kevin James, Grown Ups and Grown Ups 2. They were terrible, and every one of them got worse than the next. And so I worry that as great as Adam Sandler is, that this might just be like a money grab, and it might just be, just a rehash of the old Happy Gilmore.
You know what I think it's going to be?
I hope it's good.
The remake and part 2 is usually never as good as the original. And to me, it's such a nostalgic, awesome movie for people my age, right? Like, I love Happy Gilmore. I grew up on Happy Gilmore. I think there's going to be a lot of people that are going to watch it. And if you didn't watch the first one, or if the first one wasn't like your era, people are going to be like, all this hype for this movie and it sucked. I think people like me will like it. I think there's going to be a lot of people that be like, it was a 5.5, 6.5. Because I like the remake of that. I'm just curious to see how it is. I think I will enjoy it, but I think nationally it's going to just get shredded.
I think you're going to have to use a little bit of the nostalgia, but create something new and different. Obviously, Carl Weathers passed, so so maybe you can build something around that, and maybe Happy had like kind of a bad turn. There should be like some sort of a dramatic turn of things where it's nostalgic, but it's different. Now, here's the one thing I will say.
And Frances Bay, I had to search who she was. She's obviously long gone.
Yes.
She played the Happy Gilmore grandmother. She died in 2011.
So there's so many different things that he could play off of. She was a great character. Yeah, and like, you could play off of a lot of different things, whether Shooter McGavin becomes a good guy. Who knows? Shooter. But the one thing I will say is Adam Sandler's been all over the award shows the past couple, right? The Golden Globes, he did the Chalamet.
What was the last one?
The Oscars, where Conan O'Brien had him all dressed up. He's like, Conan, what are you doing? And then he went back, he did the Chalamet.
He was in shorts and a T-shirt.
Yeah.
So the last time I saw The Sandman, I was at a friend's rehearsal dinner. I think the steakhouse is called Hendrix on Long Island. And my friend said Adam Sandler just walked in to the restaurant. And I'm like, no way. And I'm going to be, if I was sober, I would not have gone up to him. I had a few pops, rehearsal dinner, and my friend said he's in shorts and a t-shirt. Shorts and I go, oh, it's definitely him. So everyone went back to the hotel that people were staying at, and I told him, I'll be out in a few minutes. I ended up seeing Sandler. I walked up to him. I talked to him for like 20 minutes, I would say, 20, 25 minutes. And then I walked out. No one was there. Everyone went back to the hotel. And then so I got an Uber, went to there was like an after party after the rehearsal dinner, like a welcome for people that weren't invited to the rehearsal, like a kind of like welcome drinks. And everyone was waiting for me to come up. Did you meet? Like, obviously. And we ended up taking a picture, and it was like right at like when you first started to be able to get out of the house for COVID and go to restaurants. So like we both had like the masks on, because I don't think I had a mask on at the time. And neither did he. He's like, hey, like we got to put the masks on for the picture, because that was like, if you weren't wearing a mask back then, everyone would shame you. So that was the last time I saw the Sandman. But no, have not been asked to be in this movie. Very disappointed, by the way. I think it's the biggest miss of his career.
Now, what would your role be in an Adam Sandler golf movie? Would you be a golfer,
you know
a caddy?
Who I could be? In Happy Gilmore, I don't know the name of the character. The large guy that the ball goes on his foot. Hey, Gilmore, or McGav, whatever. I think I would be a great, large, intimidating character in that movie.
Mr. Larson. You could be Mr. Larson's son. Mr. Larson, you know, maybe he tragically passed away. You take on the role. The ball hits your foot. Hey, Gilmore, you hit my dad. Now you hit me too.
Right? Like, I think I would be very good in that movie. So that would be my role, I would say. That would be the
Mr. Larson beat the crap out of Shooter McGavin. That was great.
Oh, yeah. That was great when they're all running up. That's Gilmore's jacket. I think the movie is going to get just ripped to shreds. But I think people like you and I are going to really enjoy it. Anyway, let me get off of Happy Gilmore and get to what we were supposed to talk about this segment, and that was Brock Purdy. So I saw Jason La Canfora. Is he still in the breaking news business? I know he does a talk show, and I like La Canfora. He used to come on a ton, but now he does afternoons in Baltimore, so we do afternoons nationally. It's not just conducive for him to come on. And I always liked him as a guest. Even if the information wasn't right, he was always opinionated. So I always liked the opinions of Jason La Canfora. But he said that he heard that the Niners initially offered Brock Purdy $45 million a year. Now, I know what people are going to do. They're going to hear that, and they're going to be like, Brock Purdy, who the heck does this guy think he is? But Brock Purdy is in that interesting spot where he's been good the last 2 years. No one thinks he's great, but what are the Niners going to do if they move off of him? With the team that has a limited window, but they still have enough talent. We'll see who's that wide receiver, because Debo already got traded, and there's still a chance that Brandon Ayuk is going to get traded. But you look at where $45 million a year would put Brock Purdy. Kyler Murray makes more. Jalen Hurts makes more. I'm just giving the guys that make more. I'm not saying that it's crazy. Like Jalen Hurts making $51 million a year, that's a great deal. Lamar Jackson makes 52. Justin Herbert makes 52. Jared Goff makes 53. Tua Tagovailoa makes 53.1. Trevor Lawrence makes 55. Jordan Love makes 55. Joe Burrow makes 55. Dak Prescott makes 60. So, like, I'm looking at this, especially in the top five. Dak, Joe Burrow, Jordan Love, Trevor Lawrence, Tua. There's only like one guy in the top five that I'm comfortably paying that salary to that I feel good about, and that's Joe Burrow. Like, Dak is a fine quarterback, a good quarterback. He's not great. Jordan Love, I got to see more out of him, but I do think he could be a top quarterback one day. Trevor Lawrence has been worth the money so far. Tua Tagovailoa, he showed his importance when he was out, but I don't think he's a great quarterback. So Brock Purdy's going to get more than $45 million a year. I think at the lowest Brock Purdy's going to get is $50 million a year. And that's if he wants to take a discount. But I could see Brock Purdy getting what Trevor Lawrence got, what Jordan Love got, what Tua Tagovailoa got, and what Jared Goff got. And that's in that $53 to $55 million a year range. And Joe Montana joined us at the Super Bowl. Joe Montana. And he said that the Niners have to pay Brock Purdy. And he could show you a lot of guys that make a whole lot more than Brock Purdy, and they haven't done anywhere close to what Brock Purdy done. But with that being said, I don't think there's a quarterback in football this year that will be under more scrutiny than Brock Purdy. Because it goes either one or two ways. One, the Niners don't extend Brock Purdy, and he plays on his current deal. And then this is the ultimate prove-it year for Brock Purdy when he doesn't have Debo anymore, McCaffrey's coming off an injury, and they may trade Brandon Ayuk. So this is the ultimate prove-it type of season, show your worth to Brock Purdy if he doesn't get a deal done. But even if he does get a deal done, then I think the scrutiny intensifies even more because I don't think the number is going to be like, yeah, it makes sense for both sides. I think this is going to be eventually a pro Brock Purdy number. And he's going to have a top 5 salary in the NFL at the quarterback position. And if that's the case, there's more pressure on him. Even though he has the financial security, there's more pressure on him because of the fact that he got paid. Some of his talent is no longer there in San Francisco. And then you got to deliver and show that you're one of these top quarterbacks in the league. Samter, I can't even think right now who would be second in terms of quarterbacks under scrutiny this year. And I think that's a very specific way to say, like, scrutiny to me, either way, even if he gets paid or not, Brock Purdy to me, especially with the season that the Niners just had, I think is the quarterback that is easily under the most scrutiny heading into this season. You got a quarterback there that you want to throw into the mix? Just wondering.
I mean, are we taking the salary part out of it? I mean, you look at Trevor Lawrence and like what they haven't accomplished in Jacksonville.
Well, that's even the salary in it.
Yeah.
Like he got paid, but now you're bringing in Liam Cohen. You got to start to move in the right direction.
Another one you could say,
but still, I don't think Trevor Lawrence pops as nationally as Brock Purdy does in this conversation. It's not a bad suggestion.
No, that's true. And this guy doesn't pop either nationally. But Anthony Richardson, a lot of scrutiny like for his job, not just for. You know, not for a contract necessarily.
But I don't think they believe in him. I think that was showed last year. I do think he'll be their starter this year, but I do think the Colts will make a move in free agency to bring in some legitimate competition that you could usurp him at some point this year. You know, I'm going through it. It's like, you also look at it as how many of these guys do we always also think like we know about them? Like, I'm not going to put Dak in there. I'm not going to put Tua in there because I know what those guys are. They're good quarterbacks. You could do a lot worse. If you elected to move on, but neither of those guys are going to end up winning. You know, Justin Herbert, I think there's scrutiny on Justin Herbert. Now, Harbaugh keeps on speaking glowingly about him. I think he's a good quarterback, but you got to go win a playoff game. You know, there's not scrutiny on Bo Nix. He just had a wonderful season. If there's some regression, so be it. You know, there's pressure on Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson to get it done, but those are two of the top 3 quarterbacks in football right now. Jordan Love, I think there could be some scrutiny.
Could you say there's scrutiny on Jared Goff? I mean, he does it in the regular season, but they fell. I mean, they choked 2 years ago. They fell real short this year, and he did not have a good game.
So if Jared Goff, let's say, stinks up the joint again, they still have him under contract through 2028. So there's like scrutiny, but can there be any change there? I don't think there will be. So those are some quarterbacks that we throw out there. Let's go to Anthony in Myrtle Beach. He wants to chime in on a potential role for me and Happy Gilmore too. Is that right, Ant? What's shaking?
Listen, Zach, the best character you can play is yourself. You can go out there, just do a little shameless plug for the show, do a little interview. You can even be the villain and get under his skin and you down him. I mean, the best role is yourself. You got a great personality. Why would you want to be a fictitious character? And the best Adam Sandler movie, by all means, is The Wedding Singer. Come on. Yo, lady paid him in meatballs. Who wouldn't love that?
The Wedding Singer is a movie that I like. What's your favorite?
I love that movie. That's my favorite Adam Sandler movie.
So that's your favorite one. Samter, what's your favorite Adam Sandler movie? I'm sure I have this list out there somewhere. I have not done an Adam Sandler best movie list in a long time. But what's your favorite movie if you had to go?
It's not even a question. It's Billy Madison. It's an oldie but a goodie, and a lot have come along that have been really good. Waterboy is right up there. Wedding Singer is certainly in the top 5. Obviously, Happy Gilmore. But for me, Billy Madison is the OG. That, to me, is the best.
Botcher, do you have a favorite Adam Sandler movie? You're going to tell me who's Adam Sandler.
No, it was Happy Gilmore. Big fan of Grown Ups, though, because I was younger when it came out. That's a good movie.
What are you going to say, Click next?
No, but Click is a great movie, but it's not funny. It makes you cry.
Man. You know what? I got to think about this. I'll give you my answer on the other side. Plus, I will give you some player predictions for next year in NFL free agency. Back with more after this.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You're listening to the Zach Gelb Show.
Alrighty, I just did it during the break. Little quick hot take. My 5 favorite Adam Sandler movies. Number 5, The Wedding Singer. Number 4, I ended up going with Happy Gilmore. 3, I'm going with Mr. Deeds. And Samter is 100% right. When I said Mr. Deeds, Samter immediately goes, "I'd like to change your socks." It's a hilarious movie. 2, Billy Madison, Veronica Vaughn. Hello. And then in at number 1, I think it's The Waterboy. Bobby Boucher and his daddy on the ESPN. So those are my 5 favorite Adam Sandler movies. But you're right, Samter. I'm going through some of these rankings. You almost forget how many movies he's in. And then the comedies are the best. But then there's so many serious movies that just blow past the ones that I ended up ranking there, Mike. It's wild.
And his serious movie, he's like, say what you will about Adam Sandler. He's a good actor. He's a very good actor.
Hot take.
Yeah. No, but what I mean is like he's like a legitimately talented, potential Oscar-winning actor down the road. But like 20 years ago, you never... Billy Madison, the guy whose shampoo is better. I go on first and clean the hair. There's no way you thought that guy could be like a serious, legitimate actor.
So on Rotten Tomatoes, his first movie, highest-ranked movie, is Hustle. And then the third is Uncut Gems. Like, don't get me wrong, I like both those movies. Wedding Singer's at 6. Happy Gilmore's at 10. I'm just trying to see like where I ranked them and then where they are in some of his all-time movies. Billy Madison is 21st. Like, how are there 20 movies better than Billy Madison in terms of just saying, oh, you know what? I have a change. So I'm moving Wedding Singer out of the top 5. It would fall to 6 for me. Big Daddy. I love Big Daddy. So Big Daddy would be in at 5, Happy Gilmore 4, Mr. Deeds 3, Billy Madison 2, and Waterboy in at 1. You Don't Mess with the Zohan is his 23rd best. Like, solid movie. Click is 25. The Waterboy is 27. Longest Yard, which I like, is 28. How are there 26 Sandler movies better than The Waterboy? That I don't understand whatsoever.
I mean, listen, Rotten Tomatoes, you're talking about people who...
Mr. Deeds is 30.
It's like a critic thing. It's like a critic thing. At the end of the day, like, critics aren't going to like The Waterboy. Fans are going to like The Waterboy. Critics are going to like Uncut Gems.
Yeah, did something go on big in the sports world, just wondering right now? Anything just going big in the sports world?
A couple hours ago, Dak Prescott restructured his contract.
No, I'm just trying to... Stu just texted us with an eyeball emoji and nothing else. So that means either we're getting fired or something big happened in the sports world.
No, he's sending me a picture. It looks like it's Pizzeria Bianco.
Oh! That didn't load yet on my screen, and it just did. All I got were eyes from Stu, and Stu's on vacation. By the way, Stu got a mushroom pie? I know Stu likes the shrooms, but in terms of mushrooms on a pizza, I'm out on that.
It looks like onions. No, I don't know if that's maybe that's
definitely mushrooms.
It's sausage.
It's a brown fungi. What else would you call them?
It looks like a goat cheese, sausage, mushroom, and onion.
Yeah.
That's too much.
No. The sausage, the onion, the goat cheese is good. I can't do mushrooms.
I can't do more than like two
we got 3 pizzas when we went there. I forgot what we got, but we got 3 pizzas, and you had a friend with you. It was absolutely delicious. Absolutely delicious. So wonderful stuff. Anyway, what we will do right now is I will make some predictions for NFL free agency. With that right upon us, getting going next week. I had Zach Bond going to the Eagles and re-signing with the Eagles, and that has already happened. So that's the one that I have to take off this list.
One for one.
Yeah, you know what? I can keep that for my percentage. I did my quarterback rankings, right? I did QB rankings 1.0, and I don't think we've done one since. So I got a tweet when I was on vacation. It was like, none of these are going to be right. And I didn't respond to it. And then moments later, Matthew Stafford back to the Rams. And I'm like, the rest of them may not be right, but Stafford was right. So my initial quarterback predictions, just found it. Rodgers to the Steelers, Kirk Cousins to the Browns, Matthew Stafford to the Rams, Russell Wilson to the Colts, Justin Fields to the Jets, and Sam Darnold to the Raiders. So we'll see if any of those are going to end up changing. Now, Kirk Cousins, I'll take him off the board just because he's technically not available because he's still a part of the Atlanta Falcons. So, player number 1, Davante Adams. I think he's going to get, he's going to sign with the Chargers. I think Davante Adams, right? Harbaugh needs another receiver to complement Ladd McConkey. I think he would sign an older player. Davante Adams gets to go back to the West Coast. I could see Davante Adams with Justin Herbert being a match. 2, Aaron Rodgers. Well, that means I have to then put him on the Chargers, right? And then the Chargers are trading Justin Herbert if Davante Adams is on the Chargers. I'm hoping that Davante Adams listens. Like, go somewhere else. Go somewhere that is not with Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, I actually have him signing with the Giants. I haven't thought that until today. I haven't really entertained it until today when everyone else has been talking about it. I just think it's going to happen because I think Joe Shane's going to need a move that you get somebody in now, and trading up to the draft, it still could happen, but I think it will take a little bit longer in that process. Stephon Diggs. I think Stephon Diggs may have to take like a 1-year deal, coming off the injury, getting up there in age. There's a chance he goes back to the Texans, but I have Stephon Diggs going to the Cowboys. They could use a number 2 wide receiver to complement CeeDee Lamb. Trayvon Diggs, his brother, is there. I could see Stephon Diggs winding up with the drama Dallas choking Cowboys. Justin Fields. I'm going Mark Caboli and what he told us last week. I think Justin Fields somehow, someway is going to be option number 1 for the Steelers. If I was running the Steelers, I would go Rodgers 1, Darnold 2, then Justin Fields 3. But I think they're going to find a way to ink Justin Fields to a new contract. Javon Holland. Where is he going to land? I thought Minnesota potentially. Flores connection there. But I'm going to say the Indianapolis Colts. They need a safety. Javon Holland to the Indianapolis Colts. Sam Darnold. I have him going to the Raiders. And I think they line him up with the 3-year contract. Pete Carroll on a 3-year contract. They kind of walk hand in hand for the last chapter of Pete Carroll's run in the NFL. And he'll one day be in Canton, Ohio. Josh Sweat. I saw the Eagles brought back Zach Bond today. They also got a new deal done with Saquon Barkley yesterday that we talked about. I think Josh Sweat is as good as gone. And I believe he's going out to the desert where he gets some pizza Bianco. And he'll be signing with the Arizona Cardinals. Remember, Jonathan Gannon, former Eagles defensive coordinator, now the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals for the last 2 years. So I have Josh Sweat now sweating in the desert with the Arizona Cardinals. Russell Wilson. I'm still going Indianapolis. I think he goes to Indy, a spot where he doesn't fear Anthony Richardson. Richardson could get hurt, or Russell Wilson could just be better. And he knows, hey, they don't even love, Shane Steichen doesn't love Anthony Richardson to begin with. So I think Russ at this stage of his career has to go to a spot where he's going to compete. And I think that spot will be Indianapolis. Tampa Bay. I believe Chris Godwin's going to re-sign with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, so they are able to keep their guy along with Mike Evans, and you also have Baker Mayfield there. And then the last one, Ronnie Stanley. I think the Patriots are going to be aggressive for a tackle. So I have Ronnie Stanley going to the Patriots. So Davante Adams to the Chargers, Aaron Rodgers to the Giants, Stephon Diggs to the Cowboys, Justin Fields to the Steelers staying there, Javon Holland to the Colts, Sam Darnold to the Raiders, Josh Sweat to the Cardinals, Russell Wilson to the Colts, Chris Godwin staying in Tampa Bay, and then Ronnie Stanley with the Patriots. Dexter Henry is here. One thing before I ask you about who you think is going to be the quarterback of your Steelers come week 1 of 2025. Happy Gilmore 2. Are you excited for this to come out in the summer or no?
Yeah.
Did you like Happy Gilmore, the original?
Yeah, solid.
Okay.
Solid.
What's your favorite Sandler movie? Just wondering.
Oh.
I just did my top 5. And
my favorite Sandler movie. Waterboy's up there.
That was my number 1, yeah.
Yeah, it's probably number 1 for me.
So I did Waterboy 1, Billy Madison 2, Mr. Deeds 3, Happy Gilmore 4, Big Daddy in at 5, and then I thought about The Wedding Singer 2.
Wedding Singer's a good one. I would say that I think we have the same top 2.
Yeah.
Billy Madison would be a close second for me.
Okay, now to the big answer on the question that I asked you an hour ago. You're a Steelers fan.
Yep.
You're kind of stuck right in the middle where you're not horrible, but you're not great.
Yep.
You get into the postseason. You don't win any games. You can't even win a game. Forget games. Just a game.
Can't win a game.
Haven't done that since the 2016 season, but who's counting? Quarterback for the Steelers in the post-Big Ben era, it's been rough. We've seen Mason Rudolph. We've seen Duck Hodges. We've seen Kenny Pickett. We have seen Russell Wilson. We have seen Justin Fields. You could see Fields or Wilson again next year. Who do you think starting week 1 for the Steelers come 2025?
I think it's Fields.
So do I.
I just heard you say it when I walked in. I think it's Fields. I think it makes sense. I think it's the right thing to do. He played decently well through the first 6 games of the season. Now,
that's a tough sell for me. You're bringing him back to start where last year when he was winning games, that's the original hesitation that I had. So why would you then sit him down and then make him the starting quarterback next year?
So because I think you saw that Russell Wilson, right? You saw the limitations of Russell Wilson, which I think even you would acknowledge.
Hold on. I thought he was Mr. Unlimited.
Who said this?
Russell Wilson. Remember that video?
He did. Okay.
Mr. Unlimited.
Like, yeah. No, he's limited. He's got limitations, guys. He's got limitations. I think you saw that with him. Now, was he able to get the ball better down the field than Justin Fields?
Sure.
Yes. But here was the thing. We saw that Arthur Smith kind of have the kid gloves on Justin Fields, and maybe he takes a little bit of it off. He brings him a new dynamic. I think paying Justin Fields on maybe a 2-year deal with an opt-out for him, I don't think that's bad. The Steelers still need to find a quarterback in the future. I don't know. It could be Justin Fields. I don't know.
So I gave a 3-step plan yesterday for the Steelers.
Ooh, I want to hear this.
And this was the order.
Yeah.
1, you're not going to like this by your comment in the last hour. Sign Aaron Rodgers for a year. Stopgap fine.
Do not like it.
2, Sam Darnold on a 3-year deal. At least it's calling your shot for someone. And then 3, the last resort for me would be Justin Fields.
Would be Justin Fields. So you would go, you have Aaron Rodgers 1. That's your top move you'd go.
Yeah. Well, they could win a playoff game with Rodgers this year. They could. And to me, Mike Tomlin has to, either find their next franchise quarterback in the next 2 years or win a playoff game. Or I would say, Mike, even though you're a really good coach, it's time to move on. I like Tomlin, too.
I do, too.
Are you fed up with him?
No, I think some of the noise around it has been a little bit much, but there will come a point where it's going to be like, look, it's too.
Well, the organization's not thinking about it.
No, and I don't think they should be. I think the organization needs to think differently in how they go after players, how they approach the draft. When's the last time the Steelers moved up in the draft? When's the last time they've been aggressive in that regard? Maybe.
You know what it was for?
Minka Fitzpatrick.
No, the dude from Michigan, Devin Bush. Remember when they traded up for him?
Devin Bush. Yeah, that's right. You're right about that.
And he was a disaster.
Yeah, that didn't turn out
He was
well.
a great pre-draft interview. It shows you how much all this stuff means nothing. He told me he loves going fishing, except he's never been on a cruise. He never has been on a cruise because he's afraid of boats that way.
But he likes going fishing.
But he likes going fishing. He thinks it was different. I think that was him who told me that.
That is interesting.
But he's because he said to me, I'm like, have you ever been on a cruise? He's like, no. And then he's like, but I'm a big fisherman. He goes, I'm afraid of the cruise.
Likes to be on water, just not on big boats.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. I got that. I think it's more organizational. They got to start thinking about that. There's been a lot of money invested in the defense, as you know, Zach. It's time to get better at drafting skill players. Although, listen, they've got some talented ones. They have some wide receivers that are nutcases. That's been part of the problem, too.
And you still got one in George Pickens.
Yeah, but I do. Yes, you do. That's a problem. But yes, I do agree with you that they need to find that quarterback that's going to lead this team in the next couple of years. I think 2 years is fair. Okay. I think you're being pretty fair there.
And he had a 3-year contract. And, he had 3 years left. Mike Tomlin's not a lame duck guy.
No.
So in the next 2 years, I got to see something.
Yeah, and I don't think Tomlin's voice is tired in the locker room like that. I don't think. But I think organizationally, they might need to just shake things up a little bit. You know what I mean, man? Maybe be a little bit more aggressive on certain things, particularly in the draft.
So I have a running document, and it's a Shedeur Sanders predictions.
Oh, man.
Now, we've only done this so far with just the show. So Sanders said the Jets, Stu said the Giants, I said the Giants. This was done last week.
Mm-hmm.
Let's add you to it. Where does Shedeur Sanders get drafted by?
I'm with Jets. I think the Jets take him.
You think he's going to be there at 7, and they have to trade up to get him?
What are the picks between the Giants and the Jets again?
So 1 is Tennessee, 2 is Cleveland, 3 the Giants, 4 the Patriots, 5 Jacksonville, 6 the Raiders, 7 the Jets.
The Raiders are the team that scares me there.
Yeah, I don't think he gets past 6. All this talk about how he's brash and arrogant, bunch of bull crap.
Yeah, I think it's nonsense too. I also think he would fit as a Raider.
100%.
Doesn't that seem perfect?
But here's the thing. If you say my quarterback is brash or arrogant, good. I want my quarterback to be an alpha.
Why would you not want him to be?
So you're saying the Jets for him. That'd be fun.
Maybe.
Can I lock you in, or you going somewhere else?
You got me thinking now. Like, now I'm actually leaning more to the Raiders. Now I'm thinking about that.
So we'll put you on the Raiders.
Yeah, put me on the Raiders. I'm going to go with the Raiders. I don't think he makes it past the Raiders if he's there, unless we think the Raiders are going to do something else here in free agency.
And the only way I think the Raiders, well, Sam Darnold could take him out of the business.
Right.
The only way I don't think he's a Raider is if the Titans end up taking Cam Ward.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Browns pass on Shedeur, then I think the Giants would take Shedeur Sanders in at number 3. That's why I ended up going with the Giants when this was asked last week.
I understand. Yeah, and I understand.
Last week I thought Cam Ward was going to be the number 1 overall pick. And now I still think he's going to be the number 1 overall pick, but I'm kind of starting to think now that the Giants move up to 1 to get Cam Ward. It's a possibility.
If the Browns pass on a quarterback, too, that to me is...
And Schefter just last week said it's the thing he's most confident in for this draft is the Browns will take a quarterback in the first round.
They need one.
Yeah. All righty, Zach Gelb Show, Infinity Sports Network. We'll take a break. When we come on back, we'll play some KD sound. Also, Charles Davis, who I love, has his latest mock draft out. And this is the first time I'm seeing something predicted. So we will get to what that is when we come on back. Update time first. Here is Dexter Henry.
Infinity Sports Network. Sports Flash.
All righty, Zach, let's kick this one off with NFL news. After 7 seasons in the league, longtime Bengals defensive end Sam Hubbard is hanging it up. Cincinnati native announced his retirement with a post on Instagram today, and he was the longest tenured player on the Bengals roster. Tyler Lockett's decade-long run in the Emerald City is over. The Seahawks are releasing the veteran wideout. Lockett's 2025 cap hit of $30.9 million was set to be the 3rd highest among NFL receivers. Releasing him saved Seattle $17 million while incurring $13.9 million in dead money. The Bears, they've been active in the trade market. They made their second trade in 24 hours to beef up their offensive line. Chicago trades a 2026 4th-round pick to the Chiefs for 2-time All-Pro guard Joe Thuney. On Tuesday, the Bears agreed to a trade with the Los Angeles Rams to acquire guard Jonah Jackson. When free agency begins next week, the Raiders, they are expected to release quarterback Gardner Minshew. And in some baseball news, new Astros first baseman Christian Walker was scratched from the lineup for a spring training game today because of soreness in his left oblique. Walker missed more than a month last season with Arizona because of a strained left oblique muscle. I'm Dexter Henry.
The Infinity Sports Network is on your smart speaker. All you have to say is, play Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Hey, this is Howie. And this is Nick from the Backstreet Boys. And you're listening to the Zach Gelb Show. And guess what? Zach is back. All right.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
All right, it's time to answer Ask the Pros question of the day, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Excalibur in the YouTube chat says, Zach, what about Tyler Lockett? Where do you think he'll wind up? Because he just got released today by the Seattle Seahawks. You can submit a question by tweeting at INFSportsCenter at Zach Gelb using the hashtag Ask the Pros. Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get guaranteed low prices and excellent customer service from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. O'Reilly Auto Parts. I think Tyler Lockett's going to reunite with Pete Carroll with the Raiders. That would be my prediction right there. Let me play you Kevin Durant. This is last night. He had a little kerfuffle with Mike Budenholzer on the sideline. This is KD after the game.
Yeah, that's what usually happens when you don't know the dynamics of a relationship. You know, you catch something on TV, you get a quote, and now you pushing that narrative as if me and Bud don't do that all the time. We competitive as two individuals who want to see things done the right way. And sometimes my way ain't the way that Bud want to do it, and vice versa. And he allows me as a player on the team, a veteran on the team, to voice my opinion. If we both didn't care, we would never have stuff like that. And I'm glad that the win is going to sweep all of that stupid stuff under the rug, because people couldn't wait. Even some people in Phoenix in here couldn't wait to run with that. He understands where I'm coming from. I understand exactly where he's coming from. It's just the people on the outside don't know the dynamics of the relationship. So in order for them to get some attention, they're going to run with stuff like that.
So he's not wrong in what he says. All right, like we saw Travis Kelce and Andy Reid have that incident on the sideline. We've seen great players and coaches have incidents before. But this idea that, like, Kevin Durant is so happy in Phoenix, come on. We could pump the brakes on that. So when we know you're going to get traded at the end of the year and you have an incident with the coach, I understand why the incident could happen. I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. But it's always, KD's never in the wrong, and no one could ever understand when something happens with Kevin Durant. But I do get his explanation in that regard. I did see last night LeBron James had 50,000 total points in his career when you factor in the regular season and the postseason. I'm going to be honest, I just don't care about it. I cared about LeBron James passing Kareem for most points in the history of the NBA. Now, every time that list gets greater and greater and greater, and you go from the regular season and then combine the postseason, that's just too much for me. I will say, I passed up going to the Rangers game tonight. So I was at Madison Square Garden on Monday for Rangers Islanders. I was right behind the Knicks bench last night for Knicks Warriors. I got a text, and a very nice text from Perloff this morning, McMuffin, right? Saying to me, I got great seats tonight. Rangers, Caps, you in. He goes, would love to go with you. And I'm like, they're playing Ovechkin and the Capitals. Ovechkin, right, closing in on Wayne Gretzky for the most goals of all time, right on the big chase. He has 884. He plays up against the Rangers. You get it tonight. But Gretzky is 894. Like, that to me is a record when it gets broken. It's going to be so surreal because no one ever thought anyone ever passed the great one in Wayne Gretzky for the most goals ever. But I just had other plans tonight, so I told Perloff, unfortunately, I couldn't go. So can't go to the Garden 3 nights in a row. It's a load management night for me, I guess.
Are you saying that Ovechkin's going to score 10 goals tonight?
It's possible with the way that he plays up against the Rangers. It definitely is. And finally, I will leave you on this, and I'll react to it tomorrow. Maybe we'll bring this guy on tomorrow. I'll try. Charles Davis just released his latest mock draft. He has Shedeur Sanders as the number 1 overall pick to the Tennessee Titans. Has Cam Ward then going 2 to Cleveland. You thought that would be the reaction, Cam Ward over Shedeur? Then he has the Giants taking Jackson Dart 3. He has 3 quarterbacks, first 3 picks, Cam Ward not the first one. So there's a lot to react to. Then he has Abdul Carter 4 to the Patriots and Travis Hunter falling all the way to 5th to the Jaguars. Mason Graham going 6th to the Raiders. So there's a lot to react to. As the Cowboys taking Ashton Genty at 12, Colts getting Tyler Warren at 14, Will Johnson falling all the way to 15 to Atlanta Falcons. So I will go through the rest of this, and I will dissect this tonight, and maybe we'll bring on one of our favorites in Charles Davis. Does a great job for the NFL Network and CBS when it comes to the draft. We will probably bring him on tomorrow. All righty. Zach Gelb Show, Infinity Sports Network. Big thanks to Botcher. Big thanks to Samter. Big thanks to Dexter Henry, each and every one of you. Ryan Hickey as well for participating, listening, and watching the radio program. We'll be back tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific time. Have a great night, everybody. We out. Bye-bye. Peace.